get nasty. Welcome into the Fast Lane on a Friday, January 3rd, 2025. New year. Keep wanting to say 2024. I don't know. I finally figured out the day. I do know it's a new year, Jamie. Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh, Carey Davis, Anthony Stalter is out again until, I guess, Monday. He'll be back. I don't know. We don't know the dates. You know, he said, I'll see you. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, hey, you coming back? He's like, yeah, maybe I'll be back one day. I won't tell you when. So we're just here roaming.
We had the FBI here today. We had to submit a little caricature, or what do you call those? The police drawings?
Yeah. The caricature is actually better. You know, that's the...
I'd like to see an Anthony Stalter caricature. What do you think would be featured the most, Carey?
You tell me.
Probably his chest hair.
There you go.
Yes.
That gold chain.
Open chest, open shirt. Just enough chest hair poking out so everybody see. Yeah.
See, you were thinking something maybe right in the center of his face.
Yes, naturally. My Anthony Stalter caricature is Anthony out, like maybe doing yard work with like the traditional white tank top on.
Oh, yeah.
Chest hair poofed out.
Yeah.
Gold chain. The crossed resting on the hair. Like the hair's too thick. You can't get just resting on there.
Okay.
And then well coiffed, of course, because Anthony has great hair. And then maybe an elbow on his face.
Oh.
You know, I know the feeling.
Right. Okay.
So my Anthony Stalter, he's walking around with a wheelbarrow. He's got a dead blue heron in it. You know, he does
Did
have...
he kill it?
No, he didn't kill it.
He
found it. He's trying to save it.
He
found it.
But it was sick, obviously.
It was definitely sick.
But he's walking around with, you know, like you said, the gold chain, the chest hair puffed out, one of those, you know, polo shirts with the collar popped.
Does he have the sleeves rolled up just a little bit?
The sleeves a little rolled up. Okay. And actually, they're a little bit more fitted, like an Armani shirt.
Okay. I like that.
You know?
That's a great picture.
Yeah. Is he wearing his headphones and using his iPod Shuffle?
Definitely.
He only has one of the earbuds in.
Yes.
Only one, so he can hear what you're saying, but not listen.
So our Anthony Stalter has to have all the right ingredients, right? We've nailed a lot of it, but in the wheelbarrows, the blue heron and the turtle.
Yeah.
Okay, because those are two things.
You got to have the turtle.
And maybe a helmet on Anthony, because he bangs his head a lot.
You got to be careful.
Right?
Safety first.
We can do that. A bottle of Makers in the wheelbarrow, because we know how Anthony likes to tweet when he's had a few Makers in him. And, I think that pretty much covers it.
I think it truly is a choose-your-own-adventure with Anthony Stalter.
Yeah.
It's your version.
Yes.
There you go.
Correct.
The Blues take on the Ottawa Senators tonight. Jamie, you're looking forward to this game. What happened last time the Blues played the Ottawa
Senators, you know, they've been playing a little better here recently.
Have they been playing better? Okay. Yeah. Well, specifically, I want to talk about the last time the Blues played.
Oh, that was up in Ottawa. It was a home game for the Senators.
And this one is at home for the Blues.
I got to see my mom and my brother on that trip. It was great. Yeah, Mumsy. Yeah.
Sean, he was doing well?
Yeah, everybody's good. We saw some friends and nice dinner at Fratelli's. Just a great restaurant. If you're ever in Ottawa, check it out.
Okay, I would have to do that. What about the game the Blues played in Ottawa that night? I don't
remember that game.
You don't remember?
No.
It was a field goal. It was a touchdown and a two-point conversion.
It was a tight game till the end, right?
Nah. If 8-1 is tight, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They spotted them 7. They fought, though.
Thanks for bringing it up, buddy.
Okay. Well, what can we expect from the Blues tonight playing against this same Ottawa team that they kind of throttled them last time?
Hopefully better than 8-1.
Right? I would hope so.
I would hope so, too.
Yeah.
But, look, the Ottawa Senators have been playing much better recently. 7-3-0 in their last 10. Here's the thing that sucks, though, is they lost last night to Dallas. They didn't play a great game. And then their captain, Brady Tkachuk, who we love Brady Tkachuk. We love the Tkachuk family. He calls out his team, basically says that was an embarrassing second half of the game.
Yeah.
So now we got a pissed off Ottawa Senators team rolling into the Enterprise Center, which, hey, it is what it is. Each opponent comes in here looking for 2 points.
Yeah.
Especially the Senators are clinging on to that second wild card spot in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. So I'm expecting a playoff-style game. I think that's what Blues fans should expect from here to the end of the season, is playoff-style hockey games, because although we've put up some big numbers here recently, like 7 or 6 rather in the Winter Classic, and then 4 in Detroit.
Yeah, 7 against Nashville.
7 against Nashville. Like, scoring some goals, but the Blues, to ultimately be successful, have to play tight defensively and hope that the scoring's there, which, that's great when it is. But I think these types of games are going to be fun to watch.
Go ahead, Marsh.
I was just going to say, or ask you, Jamie, who are some of the players that, at least from a forward perspective, need to step up, or you need to see more from like an Alex Texier and some of those third, fourth line guys, or do you need more production from like your second line?
Yeah, obviously your top six, you want production from them. But those guys have been pretty damn good. Let's go over the numbers, right? You get Thomas, they're great. Thomas and Booch are carrying the load with Carey as well. Holloway is right there. Schenner's, he's plugging away a little bit. So those guys are doing most of the heavy lifting right now for your Blues. Now, Brandon Saad, we know he's had a bumpy first half of the season.
Do you think that's because he had a new kid at the beginning of the year?
Why are you blaming his kid?
No, I'm not blaming. Oh, don't be saying that stuff.
Whoa.
Wow.
Now, I don't know what it's like to have a child, but you two do. I'm assuming life is a little different with a newborn.
Innocent little baby. It has nothing to do with my goal scoring.
I think he's referring to the amount of sleep or lack thereof that you get when you have a new child.
I get it, and I understand that. However, I will say this. Brandon Saad makes, $4.5 million a year? I made $285,000 a year when I had three children under the age of 3. And I was able to afford a babysitter to sleep overnight on nights before games. Was I spoiled? Yeah, I was spoiled. Was it a necessity for me? Yeah, it was. So I'm sure that, yes, being a parent, new parent, and I think it is his third child. Don't misquote me on this. I think it is, which is a lot to handle, but night before game, you should have the resources or the ability to get a good night's sleep before you go play. So I don't think the two are correlated.
Gotcha.
Is that a proper way of putting it?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
I just think that Brandon Saad's had a tough go. He's had a hard time finding his game. What does that mean? Well, he's had a hard time putting up numbers. Brandon Saad is like Mr. Reliable. In what way? Well, he's 20 goals every year. Look at his hockey card. Almost every season is 20 goals. Well, it's going to be a hard time to get there this year, although he does score in bunches. But he's been playing better recently since being put on that top line with Thomas and Buchnevich. Let's hope he finds the back of the net.
And do you think that's why he's on that line to get him going?
I think it's it's two things. One, to get him going, because those guys are tremendous passers. They create a lot of offense. But those guys also need a very direct hockey player. They've got enough of the water bug hockey, what I call, where they buzz around and crisscross and turn and loop and all that stuff. Those types of guys need one guy that's just going to be straight up and down, like the bubble hockey player. Straight up and down the wing and get right to the front of the net.
I love bubble hocky.
And I do too. I throttled a kid at FanFest. What? Is that wrong?
I don't know.
I mean, you were just chirping me about a child.
He was like 12. He was chirping me. He's acting like, look at the gray beard. I said, okay, kid. I took him out behind the woodshed. So how do you like that? Didn't even score a goal.
Is he a Blackhawks fan?
I don't care.
Didn't matter.
Didn't matter to me. An opponent's an opponent at that point, Marshy.
Line it up.
Could have been from Fenton. The hell do I know? Who knows?
Did you play as Team Canada or the United States?
I played...
or was it Blues Blackhawks?
It was Blues Blackhawks.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I did not play as the Blackhawks. I refused that. I'd rather die, quite honestly.
So if this little kid was a Blues fan, you made the kid play as the Blackhawks.
Here's the thing. You made his day, though. How many times is he going to say, I got to play against Jamie Rivers, right?
Yeah. And how many times is he going to say, hey, Jamie Rivers won? Not often. But Brandon Saad is that bubble hockey winger up and down the ice to the blue paint. And I also think it's a little bit of a reward for Brandon Saad. He had a crap sandwich here for a little bit. He was getting healthy bombed a couple of games in a row. That means healthy scratched. And nobody likes that. And then he came back and he put his head down, went to work, didn't pout, didn't complain. And he had a couple of really good games. And so I think Jim Montgomery's like, okay, you know what? It's time to activate Brandon Saad because we do know what he can do when things are going the right way.
So you expect him to get some shots on net and hopefully...
Yeah, shots on net, get to the net, a couple of rebound goals, get in on the forecheck. Like, that's what that guy has to do. And that's what Brandon Saad has to realize, that you're put on that line for a reason. You're not put on that line for drop passes and toe drags and things like that. Those other two guys can do that. You're put on that line, so when the puck gets dumped in, you're first in on the puck. You retrieve the puck. You're finishing your checks. You're getting to the front of the net. There's deflections, rebounds. Go to the areas that, not necessarily that your line mates won't, but that doesn't necessarily fall into their job description.
That's Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh. I'm Carey Davis. Coming up, the NHL had the Winter Classic But did people know about it? We'll talk about it next.
Hey!
On the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Welcome back to the Fast Lane. Andrew Marsh, Jamie Rivers. I'm Carey Davis. I'm Carey Davis.
Yeah.
Why'd you look at me like that? Did you think I forgot my own name?
No, Carey, my dad told me when I was a young man that when someone's talking, you make eye contact.
Well, you kind of stared at me sharply like I had made a mistake. That's the look you give me in the office when I say something you don't like, and then you kind of look at me. I'm like, what'd I do? And I did it a minute ago when we were in there, and you're like, you never seen that movie? You looked at me the same way.
What?
It's Boogie Nights.
You're painting me as an evil person or a mean person.
You're not a mean person. You're a stern person, and I appreciate that about you. Yeah,
I was just listening to what you had to say.
It was the way you turned. You turned very sharply.
A little too intense for you?
A little bit. My nerves get out of here.
Was Mike Tomlin softer? I doubt it.
Nah.
Speaking of stern.
Very to the point. Matter of fact, as you are, Jamie. So before we went to break, we were talking about the NHL having the Winter Classic, and I know people in St. Louis were watching. Yeah, people in Chicago were watching. You all went to Chicago to watch. Yeah, but the rest of the country wasn't.
What do you mean? Well, no, the rest of the country couldn't fit in the building.
Well, they couldn't fit in the building, but if I'm not mistaken, the game was on television, right? And I do know that because viewership dipped below 1 million people for the first time since the Winter Classic has been taking place on New Year's Eve. Now, there were a few factors.
That's not great.
No, it's not great at all. Now, we talked about this in the office. There are a few factors. One being, well, there were 12 other NHL games on, right, that could possibly draw your attention.
Yeah, there was a lot.
There's other games. There were 4 bowl games, one being the Fighting Illini beating up South Carolina.
There's the reason
I know that most people were tuned into that, so,
especially the Illinois people.
Come on. Like, what are you doing, right?
Blackhawks, Illini.
They got to choose.
It's actually probably the Illini right now.
There you go. And then some other factors, maybe being the 2 teams that were playing in the game may not be someone that viewers outside of St. Louis and Chicago want to watch.
If you woke up today trying to hurt Blues fans, Carey, you've done it.
This has nothing to do with
it's
our
one thing.
wonderful...
No, you listen to me, okay, pal? It is one thing for you to hate on Mizzou because you went to Illinois. But I will not stand here and let you badmouth Blues fans for loving their team.
I'm not badmouthing them. They tuned in. It's the rest of the country that I'm badmouthing because they did not.
That's a good turnaround.
Yeah, you like the spin rate on that.
Very
there
good.
You go. Good.
Political future.
It's coming. Should the NHL look at maybe making that the only game on that
You
day?
mean like they did originally?
You think maybe that should be the way you get more eyeballs tuned in?
Hang on, Carey. I got to break this down, okay? One, your concerns are legit, okay? But here's something crazy. The NHL started out with it on New Year's Day, and it was the only NHL game that day.
Yeah.
So if you love hockey,
You're
and you
gonna
love
watch
outdoor hockey, you're watching that game. And the numbers were out of this world.
Right.
Out of this world. Then somewhere along the way, my guy Marshy actually informed me this. Like a handful of years ago, they changed that to where it was just a game amongst other games. Well, why would you do that?
Why would it be a game amongst other games if it's an
It's
event?
supposed to be the highlight of the season.
The other games don't have a name, do they? They're just
no.
This is
regular
the Winter
season?
Classic.
Yeah, it's not.
It's an actual event. Therefore, you should have more eyeballs tuned in.
Yeah.
Therefore, you should probably have it on a day where nobody else is playing or there's nothing else to interfere.
College bowls are one thing, because there's so many. Like you got, what are you going to do? You can't weave your way in and out every year of what the bowls are. The bowl schedule is. I personally thought the 4:00 start was a better idea by the league because it starts to get dark and then you get to a better idea of what the temperature is going to be. But when they had it at noon. There's most of the bowl games, the big ones, aren't on. They're primetime games, or close to it. 3 o'clock,
Michigan
4
and
o'clock.
Alabama around that time.
Yeah, but who's watching that crap? Come on, let's be right. You had a right to ignore them.
You definitely did.
But no, I think the league really has messed this up in a certain way. One, the event was fantastic, so I can't criticize the event. The event was awesome. But let's remove ourselves from the event and let's go to just the television side of things. What was appealing about this game to the regular hockey fan? And here's where the NHL missed out. They were counting on Connor Bedard being like Sidney Crosby and drawing in the fan bases. Like the very first Winter Classic, the Penguins and the Sabres, and Sidney Crosby scores that goal in the shootout. You couldn't have painted a better picture. Problem is, Connor Bedard is not Sidney Crosby. In fact, he's having a really down year on a really crap team. So why the hell would I turn my TV on if I'm a basketball fan, a baseball fan, a volleyball fan, whatever it is? Why would I turn my TV on to watch a team in last place in the NHL with a bunch of players I don't know, including Connor Bedard? even though I think I've heard of this kid. What has he done? Mm-hmm. Sidney Crosby came in, and I mean, he was Rookie of the Year. I think he almost had 100 points his first season. He may have even. I'd have to double check that, but he was a difference maker.
Right.
And so they missed the boat on that because they put their eggs in one basket saying, okay, Connor Bedard is going to be the guy. Because let's be honest, I love the Blues. I think Robert Thomas is an excellent hockey player. I think Jordan Binnington is an excellent goalie. I think Colton Parayko is a great defenseman. None of them are what you would call dynamic to where they're the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Right.
Jordan Binnington 2019, that Stanley Cup run, probably gets the cover in June after they win the Stanley Cup. But my point is they don't have that superstar on the roster yet. They have players that could get there, and they have young players that might get to that point someday. But the Blackhawks, who are supposed to have that star, is not a star, and that team is no good. So why would anybody who's not a Hawks fan or a Blues fan turn on that game when they could watch their own TV and their own team in their own market because that game's on TV as well? It made no sense to me.
Yeah, I think they did drop the ball. The NHL did. You want, if you're going to have an event like that, it's at Wrigley Field. As you said, it's being played between two teams that are rivals, close in proximity and in distance to one another. Teams that have a history like they do. Even if the Blackhawks aren't great, and you don't have that superstar player playing, I think you still can have a great viewership if you have it on a day where there's nothing else dividing your attention. And I don't worry about the bowl games because people that watch football are going to watch football regardless. Those that are watching hockey, like you said, if there are 13 other games on, they're probably watching the team in their market because that's the team they want to watch. But if there's only one game on and it's at Wrigley Field, you're probably going to have a lot of people tuned in. And as far as the star goes, I've been saying this for a few years. If he can score, if we can get him to score 30 or 40 goals, Jake from State Farm Neighbors sounds like you're in good hands. I mean, it's all tied in.
I love the thought.
You're like a good neighbor.
But
Jake
not there
from
yet.
State Farm. Like, we got something built in. Jake, holler at me. Just let's get it going
Jake,
on the ice.
what are you wearing?
Yeah.
Khakis.
Skates. Right? You know?
I see it. No, I
It's
see
there.
like potential down the road, but it's not there.
We got to
right
score
now.
more goals.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot more goals.
Also, like this is the first time the game, I believe, was played on New Year's Eve, and there's a lot. Even the text line brought it up. There's a lot of people that didn't know the game was on New Year's Eve because
People
it's
turned
typically
looking for it on New Year's Day.
It's either on New Year's Day or it was played on January the 2nd, which actually I believe when the last time the Blues were in the Winter Classic was played on the 2nd. I might be wrong about that, but I know it has been played on the 2nd before. But if your viewers don't know when your game is,
Here's the thing.
like what?
But here's the thing. Yes, you're right.
Or we're getting complaints that what channel it was on as well.
TNT,
Is that an issue?
No, I think, I don't know. It's tough because
Well, it's been on TNT since the new
format. It used to be NBC, which is for certain people it's a lot easier to find
Correct.
that, you know. But here's my ideas moving forward: is when you have the baseball stadium games or Winter Classic in a baseball stadium, and you have two iconic franchises like the Cubs and the Cardinals. Why were they not incorporated? Like, you want the crossover fan, like you want the baseball fan. Why was Adam Wainwright and who's the most iconic Chicago Cub?
Right now?
No, just ever.
Ever?
Still alive?
That's still alive, yes.
Ryan Sandberg would come to mind.
Ryan Sandberg, like something that Chicago loves this guy, right?
Yeah.
I'd say Sammy Sosa, but that relationship, it's been fractured.
You know,
okay?
a lot of the World Series guys are on different teams now.
But it doesn't matter. Even bring back a guy. You know what I mean? Even Anthony Rizzo, who cares? Bring him back, former Chicago Cub. Fans loved him. And you have them with a baseball throw out the first pitch to the goalie. Like Wainwright to Binnington, Sandberg or whoever to, Mrazek. And now you've got the Cubs and the Cardinals are now tweeting about the Winter Classic.
Right.
You're cross-promoting this whole thing. And when it's in a football game or football stadium, not that you have to throw football because that's not really a thing, but you have some of their best football players come out and drop the puck.
Yeah.
Like, do that. Like, I loved Chris Chelios and JR, Jeremy Roenick. I get that. But the whole weekend or the whole event was saturated with former Hall of Famers. From the night at the House of Blues, the night before New Year's Eve, to the Discover event. The Fan Fest was littered with Gretzky, Chelios, all these guys, JR. Okay, you did your job of promoting the past players. Now draw in new eyeballs by dragging in the Cubs. Have the Cubs mascot out there. Have Fred Bird. Like, what are you doing here? It would have been an easy thing to do.
I think the NHL and Major League Baseball kind of missed those opportunities to have moments like that. Like you said, crossover moments where it's all about marketing. And if you're trying to get more people, more eyeballs to what you're doing and get new viewers, you have a former Chicago Cub legend. You could have had a Chicago Bear. It wouldn't have mattered. Like, you could have had an 85 Bear
Carey,
come out.
I'm going to do you one better, okay? I'm going to do you one better. Chris Chelios and Jeremy Roenick, are very good friends with Michael Jordan. You could have had Michael Jordan dropping the puck for this game. A Chicago icon.
Yeah. Derrick Rose was at the game.
Derrick Rose was at the game.
Chelly and Roenick are friends. It should have been Chelios, Roenick, and Michael Jordan are here on the red carpet. Jordan drops the puck.
Right.
Now, the whole world is watching. Why? Because it's Michael Jordan.
Yeah. It's opportunities.
Now, did they try? Maybe. Would you want to be paid? Maybe.
I was just going to say, could the NFL afford Michael Jordan? Or the NHL?
But
The NFL definitely could.
Jordan is a big hockey fan. I know this from talking with Chris Chelios and his days in Chicago and walking down the hall and talking to Michael Jordan. I mean, what a privilege that was.
And the thing about New Year's Eve, and maybe, a lot of these people were asked and they couldn't come. Why? Because it's New Year's Eve. People have plans, right? Like, it's a little bit different, at least the people watching.
So the NHL, their theory on this, by the way, was they felt like they were losing butts and seats because people are going out tying one on the night before, and then the noon or 1 o'clock start the next day on New Year's. They were like, well,
did they already pay for the ticket?
Even whatever, right? I'm going to sit at home and watch this.
Yeah.
So they felt like if they did on New Year's Eve, it's like an event. You got the Winter Classic, roll it into your New Year's Eve, and it's iconic.
Well, then move all the other games to January 1st.
Carey.
Like, if that's your issue, then move all of the other, give those guys an extra day and move all of the other games to January 1st to start their year off and make everybody focus on that Winter Classic game.
Or have an event following the game, too. Yeah. So you have, like, let's say, I know this is my business brain. You either love this or you hate this about me. It's up to you. I'm going to say it anyways. But you have the Fan Fest for all the fans and the kids before the game. That's one thing. You have the game. Post-game, you could have a New Year's Eve party where there's certain players from each team that show up for 20, 25 minutes, sign some autographs, and then they're out of there. And then people are buying tickets to that, to share the revenue of all that stuff too, get sponsored, all these things. And now for the people in attendance, I'm not talking about the viewers on TV. People in attendance, it's like an extra layer of the experience. Now, as far as the television is concerned, I think you need to have two teams that are Stanley Cup contenders, or you have to have two teams that have dynamic players that transcend, internationally, basically. Like Connor McDavid, people in Asia know who Connor McDavid is. Austin Matthews, like all your biggest guys, people know who they are.
Does the matchup have to be like a rivalry in some type of way?
But if you're going to have the rivalry, then focus on the rivalry. Like all I saw was that people talked about the rivalry, but I don't know if the NHL was afraid to show what it really is because it was a damn bloodbath.
Yeah, the St. Patrick's Day massacre.
I remember my first game against the Blackhawks. Like the veteran players are like looking at me like, "Are you ready for this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, no. Like, are you ready? Because we need everybody. Like, it could be a bench brawl here, and if we don't have like everybody on board, like someone's gonna get beat up. Like, okay, I'm in. And you see it like the national anthem, the asbestos is falling out of the ceiling, fans are going nuts. Like, it was a rivalry, but they didn't highlight that. That Connor Bedard and like little touch passes and
you can't highlight the violence anymore. People, this is 2025.
I can tell you this, Carey.
They don't want to know when people were getting punched in the face. Life was much better then, Jamie.
I can tell you this, Carey. 44,000 people stood up when Braden Shen was fighting Nick Foligno.
I don't disagree.
44,000 on their feet. I personally, following that fight, I paid attention to the next goal scored. The next goal scored didn't get everybody on their feet.
Well, things happen. Times change.
I know.
Yeah.
People change, Mox.
There you go. That's Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marshall, I'm Carey Davis. Coming up next, what's trending on the Fast Lane?
If you love sports betting and you're tired of those apps that are hard to navigate, or maybe they don't give you the best odds, maybe you can't bet because there's a betting limit, then please download Circus Sports Illinois. My friend Derek Stevens, met him in Detroit way back when, and he told me he had a vision of creating the world's largest sports book in Las Vegas. He did so. He is the owner and operator of Circus Sports in Las Vegas. Now he's bringing that sports book right to the palm of your hand, and it has got that old school Vegas feel to it. It's got great lines on their futures. They've got tight money line splits. They have the best odds out of any app that's out there. Go check it out. Compare them to any app that's out there. They have the best odds. They don't need any promos either to get you to download and do things. No betting limits. We talked about that already. And if you're looking for some plays tonight, I have a couple that I like. I like the Montreal Canadiens on the money line, minus 150. And I like your St. Louis Blues on the money line at minus 115. Both of those games available over there on Circus Sports Illinois, the app. So please don't miss out on all the action. Just download it. It's super easy. Then you can bet like a pro with your Circus Sports Illinois app today and join in on all the excitement. If you're someone you know may have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text ILGAMB to 833-234.
ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update. Driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues take on the Ottawa Senators tonight. You can listen to that one right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. If you missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers 101 ESPN mobile app. Just head to the podcast page and you'll find all of our full shows there. And it's all brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. We have What's Trending coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
What's trending now in the world of sports?
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
What's Trending Now is brought to you by Goodwill, creating opportunities and changing lives. Together, building a brighter future. Give hope, give local, give Goodwill.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN with Jamie Rivers and Carey Davis. I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. Gentlemen, What's Trending is I think I have what Jamie has now.
Oh, no. You did that
was a
last
horrible
update.
sounding
You sounded
Sports Center update.
You did your best.
I
Now,
tried.
We are uplifting here. Jamie, you sounded, I don't know, yesterday you sounded a little harsh.
Oh, a lot harsh.
Yeah.
Even
Marshy,
today, I'm battling through it, Carey.
So we
It's
had
my
this
flu game.
We had this issue last year. I don't know what you said. I don't want you to repeat
My flu
it.
game. Remember Jordan?
Oh, flu game.
Put up 50
I
that
didn't hear
night.
what you said.
It's going to be a great night for
All
the Blues.
right. Yeah. You do your thing.
I can't say he did say flu game.
I didn't hear what he said.
He did
but
say
I
flu
was
game.
afraid for him to repeat it.
It is.
I never
It
know
is
with you.
standard, though, to not know
Yeah.
exactly what he means.
Yeah.
Guys, when I slip up, you know this. I do realize it, and I hit
you
the dump
button. You do hit the button. Yeah, you said poop your pants one day, but you didn't say poop.
Correct.
Which
I
was
said it
hilarious.
again like a week later. Don't know why.
I'm not pooping you, Carey.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
did. That was right back to back. The issue I have with this, because we went through this last year. It started with Anthony Stalter,
The host
who-
monkey.
He almost died in here, and
He did.
He did. He's like, I
Out
gotta
of
go.
nowhere. Guys, I gotta go.
At 4 o'clock, I gotta go. He sat out an entire segment, didn't say a word. I was like, is he okay? Didn't say anything, and had a look on his face like, yeah, it's time to go. And he left. And then I got sick, I couldn't talk. You got sick, you couldn't talk. And we all had different variations. Like, one of us had COVID, one of us had the flu.
I had strep
One of us,
throat.
you had strep throat.
I don't know what I had,
It
but
was
it
bad.
sucked.
It was
So,
bad. I battled for like 2 months to get my voice back.
I was scared. I did too. I was about a month and a half. Like, I can't talk. The text line was like, Carey, go home. It was
I
that
remember listening. So I felt so bad one time because I couldn't talk, and I was barely hanging on enough to just keep my job at that point. And I tuned in to listen to you guys, and Carey was. I go, oh my God! I mean, somebody just
him outta here.
but get somebody off the street to come in and help out at this point.
So the issue is we cannot fall under the same thing we had around this time last year.
Well, one good thing for me is mine is not strep throat. It's like,
Okay.
I saw the doctor today. It's just a little, the little flu bug that's going on.
Okay.
It's not like massive.
You don't know yet.
Well, I'm just going to assume it's what he has.
And then, well, Howard, this is the circle of life, so it looks like it's going clockwise, and I'll have it probably
Well, Marshy
Monday.
and I were together on New Year's Eve, and I can tell you this. He's an excellent
speaking
kisser.
of, now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Speaking of, we talked about this after you left yesterday, and you were not here. Marshy, you all were at a concert earlier last year.
yes, you're bringing
And
this
you
up.
were supposed to purchase Marshy a drink at said concert. So I asked Marshy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. See? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I asked Marshy, I said, you didn't get your drink at the concert. Did you get your drink at the Winter Classic? And his answer was no again. So, Mr. Rivers.
Oh, man.
I did say,
at
though,
this
I
point-
never asked. I never asked
but
when we were at the
Jamie is
Winter
a
Classic.
man. Jamie is a man. He's a man's man, and he's a man of his word.
I am.
So if he told you he's going to purchase you a drink, you shouldn't have to bring it up.
I should have just gave you the one I was drinking.
You probably did,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
why
that's
both of you
exactly
sound
what
how you
happened.
sound.
Cousin Eddie style. Here you go, Clark.
So the next time you all are at an event together,
Yeah.
I need you. I told Marsh just send it in the group, and I'll shoot you a message.
Hey, at Champ Bash, when we have all those complimentary beers, that first one's on me.
I appreciate it. You just go grab it and give it to me.
I will deliver that to
You
you.
bring it, well, if you're bringing them, bring us all one. We all get.
Listen, I
Well,
don't
then
owe
bring
you
me
anything,
two.
okay? In fact, you still owe me $5.
Well, you got change. I do have. I got. I don't. You got change?
No, by now the interest is whatever you
Yeah,
got in
it's
your
too
pocket. The juice is running, buddy.
Well, speaking of being sick, I'm sure the entire country of Canada is sick right now after what they watched last night at the World Juniors. Jamie, what happened to your home country? And let's also talk about some of the Blues prospects that were involved in that game as well.
Yeah, so my home country's still in it. USA with a big win.
Whoa! Whoa!
What?
You live here.
Where's my
It's
home?
not-
Where's my home?
Where are
Carey?
you born?
Carey, where is my home?
I know you are.
It's an easy answer. Your Honor, can you have him answer the question, please? Where is my home? What country is my home in?
Your home is in the USA.
Rest my case, Your Honor. No more questions. Is it my fault he posed the question wrong?
I don't know that that's what we were referring to, though.
My country of birth?
There you go.
Oh, well, so why did I have to help you guys with your case? I should charge you the fees now.
Now that's a spin rate. That was awesome. You do well.
You're welcome.
You're a politician in the making as
Yeah,
well.
I never know.
So your former home.
There you go.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
So in Croatia right now.
Oh my God!
What?
You got a lot of
That was
former
my last
homes.
home before coming back here. Now, all right, all jokes aside, Team Canada's a mess. And for our listeners who maybe don't follow the World Junior Championships or the history of it, Canada usually medals. And not just medal, it's usually gold or maybe silver.
Yeah.
Not often do they not even qualify for a medal game. This is the second year in a row they're going to be eliminated in the quarterfinal. And I watched that game last night, and I watched this tournament. Canada did a piss-poor job of assembling their roster. They picked a bunch of little skilled guys out there who don't really work well with others. Like, I didn't see a lot of, plays being made. I saw a lot of skill, fast, stick handling, all that stuff, but one guy can't beat a team. And we saw that in this tournament. Canada lost 3 games in this tournament. I mean, unheard of.
And one to Latvia, Carey.
Yeah, one to Latvia. No disrespect. The Latvians were a headache for a lot of people in this tournament. They had an excellent showing. But Canada went with a bunch of small guys. And usually we have a big physical team.
Yeah.
Like my year, I shouldn't say my year is kind of unfair. We had an unbelievable
some stars.
team. We had everybody on the team played in the NHL.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but we bullied our way through the tournament too. But fair. I think we only took 4 or 5 penalties the entire tournament.
Really?
Yeah, this team took way too many penalties, including that knee. I don't know if that was a.
What is he doing?
Right.
Your tie game with 2 minutes left in the game. You're angling. You're keeping the guy at bay. You're not trying to hurt him or hit him. This dumb. That's no intelligence on that play. But Team Canada, because they feel that a smaller team, weren't able to bully the other teams. So then they ended up in penalties. Because they were, trying to be physical and they couldn't, so they had to resort to committing infractions. Wasn't good. They didn't get the goal scoring, and they took way too many penalties. That's a terrible recipe for a team to be successful in that tournament. The U.S. is still going.
Your home country.
My home country. Thank you, Carey. I did pick the U.S. to be in the gold medal game, so I'm behind that all the way. But to your point, Marshy, the Blues players, I don't know if you've got any numbers pulled up, but Stancil I think he's leading the tournament in scoring, the entire tournament. Dalibor Dvorsky's had himself a great showing. The Swedish guys are playing fantastic as well. I mean, the Blues have a lot to look forward to when it comes to these prospects. Carey, they're not just guys that are on the team.
Right.
No, they got a guy on the team. No, they're difference makers.
Yeah. Guys that are making plays.
Yeah.
I believe the guy that scored the game-winning goal last night for Slovakia is a Blues prospect.
For Czechia or Slovakia?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Czechia.
Yeah. I can't remember. I'll have to check it out. But either way, the Blues are being really well represented by all these players. And it makes me think, we talk about a window. What's the window? The Blues right now they have the possibility of opening the window this year. And I don't mean for a Stanley Cup. I mean for playoffs. And then next year and the year after, you're looking at that influx of Snuggerud, Dvorsky, maybe a young defenseman, maybe Stenberg or maybe Lindstein. But then if you go 2 more years down the road, it could be really good.
Right.
You could have almost a Chicago Blackhawks decade because that's how good the players are.
Was that 3 Stanley Cups?
3 cups in 10 years.
All right, you said it. And 314 says, according to Wikipedia, you're Canadian. So I think the case is closed now.
Ask where I live.
Right? According to Wikipedia.
Well,
and
they
we
just
all
changed it. We know how that works.
We do. And if
we
it
know how
says
that
it now,
works.
then that's what it means.
So let's go change that.
Game-winning goal, Adam Jacko, St. Louis Blues draft pick.
So there you go. So Army, I'm sure, watching these games, chest puffed out like a proud papa, having all these prospects that are not just playing, but making a difference as well.
Indeed. That's what's trending. That's Andrew Marsh, Jamie Rivers. I'm Carey Davis. There's an NFL future Hall of Famer that could be playing his last game ever in the NFL.
About time.
We'll talk about, will his legacy be ruined because of his decisions? That's next on the Fast Lane. To the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Jamie Rivers and Andrew Marsh.
Read a text.
Go ahead.
So Mumsy's listening. My mom.
Oh, yeah. What did Mumsy say?
Oh, this is beautiful. I'm going to read it exactly the way I think she wrote it. Jamie, you played for Team Canada. You are Canadian. You just happen to live in the U.S.
I think case is closed for sure now.
Thanks a lot for suing me, Mumsy. She's right.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry, Mom. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Loyal listener.
Indeed, she knows. She tells the truth. Before the break, we were talking about a future NFL Hall of Famer potentially ruining his legacy by the decision that he made a few years ago, and that would be one Aaron Rodgers making the decision to go to the New York Jets.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? We talked about this yesterday. There are a few organizations in all of sports, but in football particularly, the New York Jets, the Cleveland Browns, there are a few that things don't go right there. So my question to you all is, because of how these past 2 years have gone, the first year in New York, obviously tearing his Achilles 5 plays into the season, and then this year, you are a team that is, I believe, dead. Well, if not, they are second to last in their conference, in their division, and they are not a really good football team. He hasn't played particularly well, and he looks like an older gentleman on his way out to the pasture to end his career. What have you thought about this? And does this stint in New York with the Jets ruin the legacy of Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know. It's a tough question. I guess the only way we can try and process through this is, did playing for the Kansas City Chiefs ruin Joe Montana's legacy?
No, but he actually took him to the playoffs.
Okay, fair enough. Who else am I missing? Brett Favre. Did Brett Favre play for the Jets?
He also went to the playoffs with the
He played for the
Vikings,
Jets, too. Remember?
Correct.
Old Orange Crocs?
But he went to the Jets and then the Vikings. So he ended with the. I mean, but there are, I think of Franco Harris playing with the Seahawks. I think of Jerry Rice playing with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I was in Atlanta. We played the Seahawks in 2004, and Jerry Rice was on that roster. I don't think of Jerry Rice as a Seahawk.
But did it ruin his legacy?
I don't think so. I don't think people even remember players playing for those other teams.
True.
At the end of their careers.
However, as great as those players were, I don't believe any of them to be as polarizing as Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Especially in today's day and age with social media and he's on the Pat McAfee show weekly. He's literally almost done this to himself.
Yeah.
And so does it taint it? I think that for the rest of time, people, when they talk about Aaron Rodgers, will be like, man, he had a great career in Green Bay, but that was awful. Yeah. It's always going to be, there's going to be not an asterisk, but a yeah, but.
Do you think it's more, because we've seen players go elsewhere and not have success on the field, do you think it's more of the things that have happened off the field, the things that he has said, kind of, as you said, being on the Pat McAfee show and some of the questionable comments that he has made over the past few years that people are looking at him like, when you were in Green Bay winning a championship and winning MVPs, people just... if they didn't know much about you.
He wasn't visible then.
There you go. You go to New York, the media capital of the world, of the country for sure, and now you have more eyeballs on you, and people are questioning and wondering what the heck is going on with you as a football player.
Yeah.
But you're older. You're not playing as nearly as well. And I think the bigger issue is, to answer the question, no, I don't think it'll ruin his legacy. He's still going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a 4-time MVP. He will go in on the first time around when he retires. But I think that the biggest issue for me and for most, probably all Jet fans, is the one thing that they said prior to signing Aaron Rodgers: we're a quarterback away. Zach Wilson can't get it done. Mike White can't get it done.
Zach Wilson had a better record than Aaron Rodgers.
Yes. We are a quarterback. Do you know the celebrations that were going on for New York Jet fans when they signed Aaron Rodgers and brought him in to be their quarterback? It was.
Robert Saleh was he was jumping and
they were ecstatic. And now here you are 2 years later, and you're looking at this guy and saying, yeah, this wasn't it.
So here's what I think happened in New York. Never mind his legacy. Is when they went and got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wasn't the same player in New York, regardless of his Achilles and all that stuff. He just wasn't. Mm-hmm. And then, but Aaron Rodgers kept saying to New York, well, it's because I need this. It's because I need this. It's
Yeah.
because I need this. So they went and got Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
They went and got all of his buddies that he wanted on the team.
Lazard and
the problem is
yeah.
he was trying to get the old band back together again.
And they just were
And
old.
it was just an old band.
Right.
And so that, to me, if anything, New York Jets fans will remember his legacy is coming in and almost sabotaging a really terrible organization to begin with.
Yeah, I think this is also a something to keep in mind. Like, many players, we talked about it with basketball. We see basketball players have so much power. I think LeBron has done this to the
much
LA
power.
Lakers, where they won a championship in the bubble, and people might not think that was a real championship.
Hey, they won an NBA
I
Cup,
don't- I
too,
don't-
whatever that thing is called.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
No? They put a banner
hell no.
up for it.
The courts alone make me nauseated. I want to throw up. It's too much one color.
I agree. I agree.
But you give a player so much power, and then they turn and kind of ruin how things. Aaron Rodgers wanted Randall Cobb there. He wanted Alan Lazard. It was a few other people that he felt like he needed, and those players, they haven't done anything. They didn't do anything to help this franchise be better, nor did he. And so you would almost say he ruined the Jets, but they've been ruined, so you can't really
That's
say.
what I mean, though.
He hasn't ruined.
But they weren't as ruined. That sounds crazy
Yeah.
enough. Like, that team defensively was one of the best teams in the
Yes.
NFL. They had a lot going for them, and that's why they said we're only a quarterback away. But then you added the wrong quarterback.
There you go.
And look what's happened.
Yeah.
They're worse now than they were before.
I agree.
And Aaron Rodgers, by the way, on record for saying that his time in New York, 2 of the best seasons he's ever had.
No way.
That's what he
Not
said.
on the field.
Nope. He's just living there, being a part of the
Well,
Jets.
yeah, because you're in New York and not Green Bay. I would probably be.
But Carey, what does that tell you about an interview? He's been hurt for one
He
full
doesn't
season
care.
and sucked the seconds. He doesn't care about the product on the field, man.
He doesn't
How do you
care.
rightfully say that? I'd be like, these
the
2
best
years
time of my life.
Yeah, it's about Jets fans who bleed that green and white are like, yeah.
You've won 4 games in 2 seasons. One because you didn't play in one, and then this one you've only won 4 games.
The one game or the one score last week, Aaron Rodgers pulled out of the game at what, 40-0?
Probably, yeah.
And then the next time they're on the field, Tyrod Taylor takes the team down and scores.
They probably should have been going with Tyrod from the beginning.
Well, what couldn't get any
Might have won a
worse?
championship.
They should have went and signed, Sam Darnold. Oh, they already had him, but Drew
They got rid
Lock
of him.
or like any of those guys.
Yeah.
Like instead of all this headache with Aaron Rodgers, man.
Yeah, it has been a bad 2-year tenure for him there. I don't think it's going to ruin his legacy. He still will be one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game. Like
How many
I said,
Super Bowls?
Just one.
Just one, huh?
Just one.
How many Super Bowls Joe Flacco have?
One.
Oh,
Come on. How many? Don't start this, man.
by the way, Joe Flacco under center for your Indianapolis Colts this
Good luck
weekend.
this week, Joe. Joe Cool. We'll see how that goes. Coming up next, the Cardinals have been kind of moving and checking a little bit this offseason.
Have they?
Not really. We'll see if we'll talk about if that's been a problem and what can we expect for the 2025 season for the St. Louis Cardinals. That's next on the Fast Lane.
Jamie Rivers back with you here with Jamie Rivers back with you here. My guy, Stewie, from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. Stewie, we always talk about a lot of things, and we ask you, we call you, say, hey, what do you want to talk about today? You said you want to talk the power of the pre-approval letter. I got to hear about this.
You know what, Jamie? There's a lot of bidding wars go out there, and you have to have strength and power to beat the other offers. And one of the ways we're going to do it is we're going to give you the power of the pre-approval letter. A pre-approval letter is extremely important. 2 weeks ago, a listener went with the realtor's lender, and they got a pre-approval letter for $400,000. The loan officer of that lender went out on vacation to Cancun. They needed an updated letter for $405,000, couldn't get it, and they lost the house. Last week, the guy said, you know what? Forget about the realtor's lender. I'm going with Stewie, with Jamie on ESPN. He calls us up. He says, what do I got to do? We set him up with the pre-approval letter. We let you generate your own pre-approval letter up to the amount maximum that you can get approved for. You can go and edit it. You can reduce it. Do whatever you want. You don't have to wait for me if I'm in Cancun. You generate your own letter. He submitted the contract, got a counteroffer, changed the pre-approval letter, and got his offer accepted. We're closing in 10 days. Bagel loan, no closing costs. He's way ahead of the game. Beat the other offers out. That's how you get it done.
Yeah, it is. And I can speak to this in firsthand because Stewie helped me purchase my home, and we went through the same process. And quite honestly, I'd be happy if Stewie was in Cancun and I had that pre-approval letter to help me through the process. And you can have all of this help as well. All you got to do is give him a call at 314-324-4440. Again, that number is 314-324-4440. If you forget that number, you can't write it down. It's pretty easy. Just Google the Bagel Loan. Stewie, thank you for everything you do, buddy.
Have a great weekend.
NMLS number 226715.
You're in the
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. The time is 3:03. That time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. And before the break, we were talking about the St. Louis Cardinals, and I said they've been moving and shaking. We got a text from 314 says, yeah, they have been neither moving nor shaking, which, you know, depending on how you view things. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, right?
Accurate?
Sometimes no movement is the best movement. Stand pat.
Really?
You know, that's all the movement you need. And I think, you know what, I will tell you all this.
I can't allow you.
The Cardinals have been doing a fantastic job of standing pat.
No,
they're just practicing patience, and that's what everyone in St. Louis needs to practice. Patience, because when you're patient, things come to you. You see things more clearer. You're not moving around too fast. You know, when you go too fast, you miss things, Jamie. And when you stand still,
or you get there first.
You see things clearly. You don't need to be first. I know if you ain't first, you're last, but he was wrong. He said it. You can be second, third. Hell, you can even be fourth.
And miss the playoffs.
And, well, we've done that a couple of times. So we have decided to stand still and be silent and learn and listen, and that's where we are in this moment. The Cardinals are figuring some things out. But with that being said, you think people are bitter about the Cardinals' winter so far this offseason?
So if you're just standing pat and not really doing anything, why is everybody in baseball talking about Nolan Arenado?
Because
if you're doing nothing, you're quiet, you're just under the radar, right? But you're not
standing there.
You're not.
You're waiting.
No,
you're
trying
waiting
to
on the right deal.
Why, Carey?
You're waiting on the right deal. But if you don't get it, that man will be in a Cardinal uniform.
Yeah, and will he be happy
Bad
about
cleanup.
Oh, boy.
Yep. And you'll love it.
No, I won't.
Yeah, you will.
No, I won't.
You have no choice.
Here's what I know about the Cardinals is instead of everybody right now talking about Mason Wynn, about Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, Quinn Matthews, McGreevy, instead of everybody talking about those players, what are they talking about, Carey?
Nolan Arenado.
And what did I say yesterday would be the problem?
Nolan Arenado.
And because they're going to talk about him nonstop all the way through spring training, right?
Probably.
So how the hell do you market a team? No, look, again, business brain here. I'm the Cardinals. I want to sell you a season ticket right now. But all I've done is talk to you about a player that I want to get rid of.
Ah, well.
We'd be like, why the hell would I buy a season ticket? Because you're getting rid of the best player you have.
But he's still here. Which is why you should buy a season ticket. But he doesn't want to be here, and he may not be here for 2 more months. I can't commit to season tickets to a player who may or may not be here. But if I'd have focused on Mason Wynn, if I'd have focused on Jordan Walker, if I'd have focused on the young guys, Lars Newport, whoever, if I'd have been promoting these guys and pumping that out there, never mind Nolan Arenado. Come watch Mason Wynn, future Gold Glove with all this stuff. Now all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm a little excited about these younger guys. You're not worried about Nolan Arenado. But right now, all that we can talk about is Nolan Arenado. Well, they haven't talked about anything. Like, they haven't given out any.
They've talked about Nolan Arenado.
They haven't given out. They haven't started their marketing plan, which probably is problematic, seeing as how the pitchers and catchers report here shortly.
Very shortly.
But with that being said,
your winter warm-up.
It's right around the corner.
Your winter warm-up. Nope, hang on, Carey. Hang on. Your winter warm-up. Did you spend more time talking about the future and all your great players? Did you spend more time talking about, well, we're diving more into development, so you're deflecting, and then Goldschmidt, Arenado, that whole thing?
Yeah, you probably talked about.
Oh, I forgot the cherry on top, the pièce de résistance, as they say. Yeah, Contreras is moving to first base. We gave him $87.5 million to be a catcher, but he's going to be a first baseman now.
He's going to be a hell of a first baseman.
Great, but why are you talking about that?
Because you don't have anything else to talk about.
You do. You're just not talking about it.
You are correct, sir. Now, they will eventually play some games. And hopefully, when they play these games, these younger players, you have more to talk about. Mason Wynn is a great point. They should be pubbing him up because he is a future
on every
star.
Billboard you can see.
No question. No question about it. He should be on every billboard. He should be the person that you're focusing on because he is a young star in the making. Now, here's my business brain, how that works. If you do that, do you think that raises his salary? You have to eventually pay him.
Who cares?
They care. They care.
Why can you? First of all, you have the arbitration that lets you. Doesn't even. You don't have to do squat. You just take him to arbitration until his arms years are gone, and then if he's still good at that point, then you can give him big money.
But the money is going to be added. Like you're.
But the arbitration process doesn't take into consideration how good he is in commercials.
I'm not worried about that. I'm talking about when the payday does come.
Yeah.
And his agent sits down and says, "This has been the face of your franchise for 5 seasons. You're going to." So for me.
So what?
You may not care about that, but I think they do.
But by that time, Carey, Jordan Walker might be the face. By that time, Quinn Matthews might be the face. By that time,
I don't
player
know if
X,
they're
Y,
willing
or
to
Z.
run that risk of having a quote-unquote face of the franchise and knowing that this player at some point...
That's just bad business, you know.
I don't disagree. I agree with you 100%.
So think about the gross revenue, first of all, that as a team you can make with ticket sales and Mason Wynn jerseys and all that
100%.
stuff. And mark that against the cost of doing business to pay that player.
And think about what my agent is going to say when it's time to sit down.
So what, Carey? Think about it for a second. If you run a company of success, Amazon, okay? Yeah. You're Jeff Bezos, and you're running Amazon.
I wouldn't be here.
I know that. And you have an unbelievable CEO in a region, okay? And that CEO says, well, I'm worth $25 million a year. Now, meanwhile, he's probably only worth about $20 million, but his region is grossing astronomical money. Yeah. Why do you care about the $25 million then? Because as a whole, Carey.
Thank you.
I was saying, Anthony, as a whole, Carey, you're winning. So the Cardinals have to look at it that way.
I agree with that, but we're also talking about an organization that wants to get rid of a player because they don't want to pay him $20 million or $25 million
right now.
But they don't. But they have said, and you even said this. They're Trojan horsing a salary dump inside of a youth movement. So this is clearly an organization that is looking to remove salary and doing things how you're talking about, which makes perfect sense if you're trying to get more butts in the seats and get more people to show up. Is going to eventually cost them more money.
It could, and that's or they let the player walk.
But
if it's all about saving the dollar, the arbitration.
Then you become the Pirates. You're the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Carey. I didn't say I liked it.
No,
I didn't say I liked it. You've got me confused for someone who likes the model. I don't. I'm telling you why it makes sense for them.
Jamie, no.
Because you can carry them all through ARB, which ARB just won't hurt you. It'll be more expensive, but it won't hurt you.
You're gonna have to pay. You go each year. I mean, and that's not nothing
but
to
his
do with the
numbers have
marketing,
to
but it has
support
to be
it.
correct.
It's like billboards don't help him in
Correct.
arbitration.
100%.
So no matter what the agent says, you walk him through ARB, and if he's still worth it at the end, you sign him. If not, you become the Pirates or the Rays, and you let him walk.
Well, Jamie, you do that, and I will never don the red glasses again. They will only be
But
Dodger
Carey,
blue.
they're doing that right now. Why did you put the glasses on? They're
Because
doing
they're
it right
being
now.
patient.
No, they're dumping salary. They told you.
They're dumping salary with the hopes and the expectation of building up the development department.
But then you just said once that player gets to be really good, they're going to have to pay him.
They are.
But they're not going to. So why do you put the red glasses on?
They're going to pay
You should be
him.
ashamed of yourself.
We're going to pay him. He deserves all the money in the world. Coming up next, we got Blues Cues. Get your texts into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. If you want to ask Jamie any questions regarding the Blues, he is the hockey guy. I'm only the hockey guy when he's not here. So any questions you got for Jamie, send them in to the Air Comfort Service text line. Blues Cues is next on 101 ESPN.
If you're currently looking to sell your home here in the next couple of months, or your house is about to be put on the market right now, don't settle for any ordinary real estate agent. You need to find somebody that's going to understand the market, that's going to have your best interest at hand, and who's going to get your home sold. And that's Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Listen to it for a second. Home sold guaranteed realty. And why can Gloria guarantee to sell your home? Because of the things I just talked about. She understands the market. She knows what's trending, whether it's trending upward or downward, and she'll find out exactly what your house should be listed for. And she's got thousands of buyers in her database that drives traffic to your listing. And with that many eyeballs on your property, odds are you're going to get multiple offers at that point. And if you get multiple offers, hopefully that means more money in your pocket. And that's exactly what Gloria Liu wants for you, is to sell your home and get you the most bang for your buck. And all you have to do is give her a call and tell her Jamie Rivers sent you in. Her number is 314-325-6888. Again, that number is 314-325-6888. Or you can always visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
It's time for the Fast Lane's Blues Cues.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Andrew Marsh and Jamie Rivers. We got Jamie Rivers for about 45 more minutes before he heads down to Enterprise to see the Ottawa Senators take on your St. Louis Blues, and it's only right. We do Blues Cues.
Yes.
So, Marshy, what you got?
All right, let's start off with the 618. Interesting question here. If Torrey Krug never plays a game for the Blues again, will his contract be Army's biggest failure? If not, then who?
Wow. I think a failure is a player that doesn't contribute to the level that you thought they would contribute. So for some people, I'm sure they would feel that way about Torrey Krug. He did play some good games for the Blues. Like, it wasn't all negative, but a failure would also be that player made you cap strapped as well. And the silver lining for this right now is that contract can be put on LTIR. And although the team has to pay Torrey Krug the actual money, the actual number doesn't have to go on the salary cap, which afforded you the chance to go get Cam Fowler. And if you want to add something else at the deadline, you probably could as well. So in some respects, it wasn't the greatest thing, but in other ways, it's going to work out to be probably just fine.
I also think that Torrey Krug, not that he never stood a chance here in St. Louis, but his signing coming on the heels of Alex Pietrangelo going somewhere else, like the Blues needed to win another cup with Torrey Krug in order for, in my opinion, people to feel satisfied by what took place.
I agree. And it sucks for the player because, look, Torrey Krug is an awesome dude. I wish people could get to know him because he's a good dude. And he tries, man. Like, he works his ass off. And that's one thing that Torrey Krug maybe didn't make always the right plays, but he left it on the ice every single time. And although the results weren't what people wanted, and people, it doesn't matter how hard he works, I would have to argue back with Blues fans that you cater or you seem to like the players that leave it all out there, and they don't necessarily have to be the best players. And they'll say, well, his contract. His contract was one that matched what the market was for Torrey Krug. Alex Pietrangelo was the number one defenseman available via free agency that year. He obviously didn't stay in St. Louis. The next best defenseman available was Torrey Krug. Alex Pietrangelo signed for like $8 million and change. Torrey Krug's 6.5. So the price matches what the player would have gotten on the free market.
Anytime you're replacing a player like that, though, it's going to be hard to fill those shoes, especially if you're not to that level or people don't assume. If you're not even, you can be as close as possible and they still will find things to gripe about. And if you're off somewhat, then they obviously have even more to gripe about. So
look,
there's always going to be that level of frustration.
Let's go back to that 2018-2019 season. Somewhere in November, people were clamoring to strip the C from Alex Pietrangelo. He's not a captain. He shouldn't be wearing the C.
What happened that year?
Well, they won the cup.
Oh.
And now, had he stayed in St. Louis, there'd be a statue outside the rink of this guy at some point. So it's just, we tend to sometimes forget some of the obvious things, But yeah, it's certainly, it's turned out to be an interesting signing.
And I wonder if, Army's biggest failure, does that necessarily have to come from a player standpoint? Could it be a coach? We bring up 2019, Mike Yeo was there for not too long, and then they moved on.
I think Army himself would tell you that was a failure. That experiment was a failure, and and he moved on from Mike Yeo. And I don't think the Drew Bannister experiment was a failure. I think that Army again just recognized that there was a better coach out there in the market, so he went for it. I think Army's been pretty forthcoming. Army was on the Cam and Strick podcast talking about one of the things he regrets the most is the Alex Pietrangelo situation. He doesn't talk about, was it easy? Could I have resolved it? He just talks about the way it all went down and how it worked out, and ultimately the player leaving is something that he regrets. So, what do you say to a guy who owns certain things? Shame on you? Well, I know. I shame to myself.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess I have nothing else to say. All right, let's move on to the 314. Is Biz nasty on something strong, or should we trust his feels for this Blues team? I really want to.
Yeah, Biz Nasty is on something strong. I know the man personally, and he's on everything he can get his hands on. No, that's not fair. No, look, Paul Bissonnette is obviously a great radio or podcast, TV personality, but he's also a guy that gets caught up in the moment. Like every year, if you go back and watch it, all of a sudden he's hardcore Leafs, and then he hates the Islanders, and it's like this, the New York fans suck. And
He does a good job at doing his job.
he pokes the bear or highlights things that get things going a little bit, which is smart for a media personality, is drawing the clicks, as they say. Now, what he said, there is portions of it that I agree with, and for our listeners who maybe don't know, he just said he feels like there's something unique about this Blues team. Like if they could get in the playoffs, they might be able to make a run at the Stanley Cup. Hey, look, anything is possible. We know that. And when you have Jordan Binnington as your goalie, that increases your chances of upsets in the playoffs. Do I think this team is there right now, ready to contend? No, I don't think they are. But are they building this team in the right direction? Yeah. We're seeing strides being made in the right direction here. Last year at this time, we still talk about how inconsistent they are. And now, one could say the same thing right now because they're playing 500 hockey, but it feels different. It just feels different. And it feels different since Monty's taken over. In particular, they're playing above 500 hockey under Jim Montgomery. So, yes, I think momentum and results would show you right now that this is a team that could be poised for a playoff, at least spot. And then from there, man, who knows? But, I like Paul. He does a great job.
From the 314, hey, Jamie, since Cam Fowler has arrived, which was a great decision, do you think it negatively affected Broberg moving to the second pair defense when he came here for the opportunity for top pair minutes?
Well, when Broberg came here, he was on the second pair defense immediately. From training camp, like the first day, he was partnered up with Justin Falk, and everybody else was clamoring for him to go play with Parayko. Broberg wasn't. Nick Leddy was in that spot, and Nick Leddy had been Parayko's partner for a couple of years now. There was no need to force feed Broberg to that top spot right now. He will be in that spot eventually, but he's played really well with Justin Falk. I mean, we can't argue that. Those two have been really solid together. And Fowler coming in has been really solid with Parayko. So why the hell would you screw with your top four defensemen? There'd be absolutely no reason to, barring an injury of some kind.
So the Blues are taking on the Ottawa Senators tonight. The 314 wants to know, what would it take to get Brady Tkachuk from the Ottawa Senators?
Like if you're the Blues? Probably Colton Parayko. A young player, so maybe a Bolduc or a Holloway, and also a Thomas or a Kyrou.
Ooh. All of that?
Yeah, I think so.
That's probably too much.
That's why I would take that. But that's what Ottawa would say.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to part with our franchise player, our captain, a unicorn in today's NHL, then you're going to overpay for said player.
You wouldn't be able. I mean, that would make zero sense.
Correct.
For the Blues, because
Correct.
you're losing way too much.
But that's what teams focus on.
Yeah.
If you're that excited about my one player, I am going to take you out behind the woodshed and
Could I entice you with two players and a draft pick?
Well, what two players?
Two of the three you just named.
No, you got to pick them.
Okay, Parayko, and you want a young player? See, I don't like it. Because the player I'm going to give you, you're going to say no. I was going to say Bolduc. Nah, Robert Thomas.
So
Parayko
Thomas
and Thomas.
and Parayko and a draft pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, deal. And a
How do you feel?
For the Blues or for Ottawa?
For Ottawa.
For the Blues.
I mean,
And a heartbeat, Carey. You're getting a number one defenseman, a number one center, who'd probably be number two center in Ottawa, and you're getting a prospect of some kind.
here's my thing.
So it's not worth it.
This is not even like a Brady Tkachuk thing, but when you have a good player and you end up making a move like that, to me, you'd be sending him to a team that he basically just played for because you've stripped it down to something.
Essentially what it was,
Yeah, you've
where he was
stripped
at.
it down. So it's like, well, we know what he can do for this team, but they're still not winning because, one player doesn't play all 60 minutes, right? there needs to be more guys out there that can get the job done. So if you do that, it essentially you're throwing them back on the same team.
Yeah, and look, it is what it is at that point. I just don't think there's a trade out there for Ottawa right now that would make sense unless you're willing to completely overpay.
And they're in a playoff spot right now, so why would they even entertain trading him?
Well,
and
not.
maybe he doesn't want
Carey
to
just
leave
likes to
now
have fun with
that
this
they're
stuff.
building stuff.
I like to have fun. Don't you? No, not really. Okay.
I do.
All right.
Just take this stuff seriously, okay?
Jamie from the 314, do you think Jonathan Toews ends up making a return to the NHL? If so, could the Blues be interested in him?
Absolutely not. If Army's interested in him, I'm going to have a serious talk with Army. Right now, Jonathan Toews is in India somewhere on an ayahuasca retreat. I'm not joking. I'm not. He weighs about 170 pounds soaking wet right now.
Not great?
Not great.
Okay.
And his skating ability in his last season that he played in the NHL was gone. But now he was about 30 pounds overweight at the time. But it's not there. The magic is no longer there. I don't need that experiment. I don't need that hassle. I don't need that roller coaster ride. It's not even close to the same player that he once was. And now he doesn't seem to be in the state of mind of the player that you'd think you'd be getting to, like the ultimate captain, the leader, and all that he was in Chicago. This guy's talking about his mental health and how he had to go on a retreat and like refine himself and do all this stuff. And look, I got nothing against that. You go do you. You go make yourself a better person. But for me, if I'm a president of hockey operations, I see someone out there that is kind of lost or lost their way a little bit. When I look back, I want Jonathan Toews, who had the eye of the tiger and was one of the top centermen in the NHL. You're not getting that anymore. So what would you be bringing in? And what if he's all of a sudden a negative impact on your locker room because of whatever situation? Like, nah, I'm good. I wish him luck. Nothing but the best.
So obviously you don't want the Blues to do something like that. Could you see another team in the NHL bringing him in?
I don't see how. I just don't see the point. If Phil Kessel didn't get a chance to play on a PTO somewhere, and he was still relatively productive at 15 goals his last year, whatever they had. Like, if you're not going to give a guy like that a chance, if I took 5 minutes, I could find another 5 or 6 guys that are like borderline NHLers that are just a little bit older. Why would you do that with Jonathan Toews? Because no matter what he does, it's going to be a disappointment. No matter what.
As we head into Week 18, the final week of the NFL season, we'll discuss some NFL surprises and disappointments. I know Jamie's got a few over there. We'll talk about that next on the Fast Lane.
All right, we've all heard about the big snowmageddon that is coming to St. Louis here on the weekend. Perfect opportunity to check out the tires on your vehicle. Are they ready for the winter? Can they handle it? If not, head over to Pure Performance. They are the best in the business, and even though they deal with a lot of aftermarket, oversized off-roading tires, they carry every single tire out there for any vehicle. So please check your tires and make sure they're winter ready over at Pure Performance. And if there's any other accessories that you're looking to add to your car, your truck, your SUV, your minivan for that matter, anything that you've got, Pure Performance has you covered. And they're located in St. Peters, right off of Highway 70, Cave Springs exit. Easy to find. And what you will find is a 25,000 square foot facility that houses the largest showroom in the area where you can find anything and everything you might need to enhance your vehicle. So please head over. When you do me a favor. Ask for Shelby or Caleb and tell them Jamie Rivers sent you in. They're going to take great care of you. I promise you that. The technicians always do an amazing job on your vehicle, and you're going to love your entire experience with my friends over at Pure Performance. So please visit them online as well at pureperformance.com. That's pure, P-U-R, performance.com.
ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues take on the Ottawa Senators tonight. You can listen to that one right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. Coming up next, we're going to dive into the NFL surprises and disappointments of this NFL season. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Jamie Rivers and Andrew Marsh, and we have the NFL's biggest surprises and disappointments as we head into the final week of the NFL season. Marshy, go ahead. What you got?
All right, I want to start off with the Houston Texans, a team last year that had a very surprising season, and we were all pretty big fans of C.J. Stroud heading into the season. They are a playoff team, but what do you guys think about their season this year in C.J. Stroud's sophomore campaign?
Disappointment. And that sounds absurd, seeing that they won the division. They are headed to the playoffs again for the second consecutive year under C.J. Stroud. But they're 9-7. This is a team that I think, you do have what some would consider a sophomore slump for C.J. Stroud. there's the opportunity during the offseason for teams to get as much game film on you and decide and decipher how to attack you. I think that has happened this year. But you've also had Nico Collins go down. Stephon Diggs has gone down. Tank Dell has gone down. They've had a ton of injuries at the receiver position. The addition of Joe Mixon obviously helped them. But when you have your best receiver, who was, I think, leading the league in receiving at the time when Nico went down, and then you lose Stephon Diggs and lose Tank Dell for the year, like it's a tough task, but I think C.J. Stroud will be better next year. But this season, as crazy as it sounds, I feel like it's a disappointment because I expected this team to be fighting for potentially the number 1 or 2 seed in the NFL.
See, I think it's a success. I go with the success. Yeah, because of all the reasons you said.
Okay.
With all those reasons, this team had every reason to not succeed. Mm-hmm. And although the success may not be as great as it should be, to your point, Carey, they're still 9-7, and they're going to clinch their division with a quarterback who's got a bit of a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
So can you imagine what it might look like moving forward?
I can see that.
So although it's not what we might have thought, I still think the season overall is a success because he still finished first place.
I'm greedy. I wanted more.
Yeah,
I wanted so much more. Mm-hmm. I am. I mean, I was so excited.
Like that kind of guy to me.
I definitely am.
No matter how much I can give you, you want more.
I always want more.
Yeah.
I am that guy. Mm-hmm. Stephon Diggs, the addition of him and Joe Mixon, I thought that this team would take off and exceed what they did last year. And it just, even when all of those players were healthy, it still didn't feel like it clicked. So for me, it's a disappointment. Although, like I said, it sounds crazy. This is a team that's still heading to the playoffs, but I think they'll be one and done.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
Let's go to the Miami Dolphins, a playoff team last year. They're 8-8. They still have a chance to make the playoffs. Tua was injured once again for a lot of this past season. Surprising, disappointing. What do you guys think about the Miami Dolphins?
Who's their backup quarterback?
Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, apparently, he's the one playing this weekend.
He might be.
No, I think they've declared it.
Okay.
Maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah.
They said that odds are that
Tua is out.
Tua's out.
They need to win, and they need Denver to lose. So he must be dealing.
They need Cincinnati to lose, too.
The problem is...
Well, if they win...
that's true, yeah. That's true.
And as long as Denver loses.
Yeah. Denver's playing the Chiefs, who will be without Patrick Mahomes.
They'll be sitting players.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah.
By the way, did you guys get your picks in? For this
yeah, I did.
No, not yet. No, I'll do that here in very soon.
But to the original question, the Dolphins are a disappointment. This is a team that, for all intents and purposes, were supposed to be competing for the division title, not being 500.
Right. I agree. I think the Dolphins were... the injury to Tua obviously set them back a little bit. They were losing that game to Buffalo when he did get injured, but this was supposed to be a season where they were going to take a step forward. They had a really good year last year with an opportunity to not have to go on the road. They didn't finish out last season, ended up having to go to Kansas City, and it was like below 10 degrees or something. People were out there getting frostbite. It was cold.
Poor guys.
Yeah, Jamie, it's cold out there. But you come back this year. It's cold outside. You come back this year, and you deal with the injuries, and I just think that this has been a disappointing season because I expected them to take a step further going into 2024.
What about the Carolina Panthers? So we know how bad they were heading into this season, but we've seen throughout the year that they can play some ball.
Really?
They're not consistent, but they've looked good at times. What do you think about them?
I'm going to say surprise, and I say that because.
In what way, though?
Well, Bryce Young is a quarterback. He was benched earlier in the season, had some time off, and since he's come back, he's played much better. I think they found a superstar in running back in Chuba Hubbard, and I think they are a team. They're still young, right? Bryce Young in his second year. Again, it's all about the maturation process. He did not play well his first year. He did not play well to start off the beginning of his second year. But I think he's gotten so much better. He's more decisive. He gets the ball out of his hands in a timely manner, and he's not he doesn't seem like the game is too fast for him anymore. So for me, even though I think they won 4 games this year, but it is a surprise because I wrote Bryce Young off. I just thought he was done. I thought he would never have any success. But since he's come back from being benched, I think he's played much better.
See, I'm going to say that it's a failure. And the reason I'm going to say it's a failure is because Bryce Young was supposed to come back better than before. This team was supposed to be built better than before. And they've got 4 wins. But, Carey, can I read you their wins, please?
Sure.
They got a win against the Raiders, who suck.
They're good.
The Saints, who stink.
No, they're good too.
The Giants, who stink.
Oh, they do stink.
Their only good win is against the Arizona Cardinals, who are mid. Literally the definition of mid.
You got to start somewhere, James.
I know, but I still think that this team is in the same spot that they were last year.
I think they're in a better spot because I think Bryce Young is playing better. Like I in terms of the record, yes, it doesn't look really good. It's not, but I think that they had an issue. They got rid of Deontay Johnson. They will still. I think Xavier Leggett has shown some flashes of being a really good receiver. I think they're okay. I think they are going to add some things this offseason, and hopefully Bryce Young comes back with a better game for 2025.
Do you think this team can ever be successful under the current ownership?
Probably not. I mean,
That's my biggest problem.
You might add them to the list of franchises doomed and bound to lose. Jets, Browns, Panthers.
You could throw Cowboys in there right now. That ownership
Cowboys got a lot of talent. They'll be all right.
That owner's...
He just meddles too much. He likes to be involved.
But here's the thing. He meddles too much, but then not enough. He meddles too much.
To fire the coach.
And then he hangs on to, like, dead weight. Like, I've never seen anything so contradictory in my life.
They'll figure it out.
So the Seattle Seahawks last year, 9-8, they finished third in the NFC West under Pete Carroll. This year, new head coach. They finished second. They are currently 9-7, but have been eliminated from the playoffs. Surprise or disappointment this year for the Seattle Seahawks?
I think it's a disappointment because they are the Los Angeles Rams came out of nowhere.
Right? Yeah, they did. They were supposed to be terrible.
They were supposed to be terrible, and the Seahawks had an opportunity leading that division, and then you lose a couple of games to the Packers, to the Vikings. We know how good the NFC Central is, but for me, it just feels like that. I'm sorry, the NFC North. I got the NL Central. NFC North.
What's the NFC Central?
NFC North is. But for me, the Seahawks, they just didn't take care of business this year. They to me, it's a disappointment because I thought they had enough to win that division if the 49ers, once the 49ers took a step back in the way that they did with all the injuries they had. For me, it was the Seahawks division to lose, and they lost it. And they let the Rams come and take their spot.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. I mean, Seahawks were supposed to be that team that, well, I shouldn't say compete for the division because the 49ers were supposed to run away with the division. Yep. But I think everybody in their mind thought the Seahawks would be right there in second, a wild card team.
Right.
And here we are. They're eliminated, and they're not. And that division did not shape up the way it was supposed to at all.
Next one, the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 8-8 right now. Somehow have a point differential of plus 36 despite having a terrible defense. And they've won 4 straight. They missed the playoffs last year. Joe Burrow was hurt. They have a chance to make the playoffs. Things have to go right for them, though, in Week 18. Surprise or disappointment this year for Cincy?
Oh, it's got to be a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
It has to be. First of all, I'm so disappointed in the Bengals overall. You have arguably maybe the best quarterback in the NFL, at least in the last couple of weeks. In fact, maybe all year.
He's been one of the top quarterbacks.
He plays the game. I bet you Joe Burrow wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He thinks he's being blitzed. He can't. You got to pick up the blitz. Bam, a blitz. This guy spends half the game being chased and run out of the pocket and hit and knocked down and sacked, and yet he puts up these astronomical numbers. And how often, Carey, do you score 35 points plus and lose on a regular basis?
You shouldn't. They struggle up front. It has been a disappointment, and it's mainly because they started out so slow. I know T. Higgins missed some time. Jamar Chase was sitting out and didn't really do anything in training camp and showed up game one. I don't think he was in rhythm yet. So you started out slow, and then you can't protect your franchise quarterback, which to me is the most egregious part of it. If you're not going to be able to protect him, he's going to have a tough time having success. And you've been at this for a few years now. You haven't protected him. When he's healthy, Joe Burrow is one of the top quarterbacks in the game. He's had some injuries, every other year it feels like. But when he's healthy, he's a really good quarterback. Not a team you want to see in the playoffs, but it has been a disappointment for me. And the NFC Central was the name of the NFC North years ago. Yes. And no, I'm not crazy. I'm just old.
The worst part is, Carey, I didn't even pick up on it.
I heard myself say it, but I was thinking NL Central, NFL, NFC. I'm like, what am I saying?
I'm like, it's a football guy. I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah,
They told me the NFC Southwest. I'd be like, yeah, Carey,
there you go.
preach.
Southwest Division. Coming up next, we got Jamie's keys to the game, and we will light the lamp. That is next on the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Jamie Rivers and Andrew Marsh. And Jamie is on his way down to Enterprise Center to see the Blues take on the Ottawa Senators.
Yes.
But before he goes, he has to give us his 49 keys to the game.
Well, if it takes 49, then we're in trouble.
How many do you have?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
All right.
First one for me is you got to reset your mind here if you're the Blues. And all I mean by that is that win at Wrigley Field, the Winter Classic, that's a huge emotional high. You're super fired up, but you can't let that be the focal point anymore because the Ottawa Senators don't care about your victory over the Blackhawks at Wrigley Field. They don't care about how awesome it was. They don't care about how many Blues fans were there. They don't care about fireworks. They got their butts kicked last night in Dallas. They care about coming in here and kicking your pants off. That's what they care about. So if you're the Blues, you have to reset and be ready to go from puck drop, have a good first period. What does that look like? It looks a lot like you saw last game in the first period. You're pushing the game north. You're using your speed. You're challenging the opposition to the inside. When you do that, it draws penalties. And then your power play was pretty good the other night. You had 2 power play goals. You focus on trying to generate power play opportunities at puck zone time in the O zone. If you're the Blues, you got to make sure you're managing the puck. Right now, you don't want to give the Senators an opportunity to transition. They're excellent on transition. They've got young guys with lots of speed, that with high skill. They can put pucks in the net. You got to make sure you're not turning pucks over. And as hard as this is going to be, because the Senators have a guy named Brady Tkachuk, you have to win the net front battles at both ends of the ice. You know, Jake Neighbors is doing a great job of getting to the blue paint recently. Dylan Holloway's getting there. You know, a lot of guys are getting to the blue paint. So you have to make sure you continue to do that tonight. But also, the flip side is you got to keep Ottawa out of there. And that's where the big chore is going to be because you got the big moose in Brady Tkachuk where he likes to set up shop in front of the net. So you got to make sure, if nothing else, tie up his stick and then move the body when you can. Get him away for rebounds and things like that. Limit the damage that way. Again, for me, controlling the middle of the ice in all zones. You know, Jim Montgomery talks about that all the time. Play inside the dots. Don't have too many guys caught on the outside of the dots. Why is that? Because then it leaves the middle of the ice open. And most teams can drive offense if they have control of the middle of the ice. So if you're the Blues, you want to control the middle of the ice. And lots of pucks and bodies to the net. Their number one goalie, Allmark, is not playing tonight. He looks like it'd be Forsberg in net for the Senators. So you want to get a lot of action. He's a good goalie, but you want to test him as much as possible.
Well, you gave us 8, and you're about 37 short, but we'll let you.
I appreciate that, Carey. Kindness of your heart.
Let's light the lamp.
And a couple of guys can really shoot the puck.
Shooter!
I must confess you scored first.
Well, who was the first person?
Breakaway! Shoots! Score! We got hockey to learn.
All right, Marsh, what are the standings in Light the Lamp?
All right, Carey, you are leading the pack with 12 points.
That's unreal.
Jordan Kyrou got you an extra point last Friday when the Blues took on the Nashville Predators. He scored a goal, so you are at 12. I had Robert Thomas, who picked up 2 goals in that game. So I am now at 10 points. Ew. Jamie, you're at 7, and Anthony is still at 3.
Ooh. He's struggling.
Yeah, he is.
You know what? I'm going to go right back to it. Give me Jordan Kyrou for the hat trick tonight. How about that? You guys like that or no?
I'm going to
Carey.
go.
Sure.
Okay.
Give me Jake Neighbors.
Ooh, he's due. Been a while for old Jake. He's been sitting at 10 for a while here. I'm going to go with Dylan Holloway. This kid just keeps going, man.
Wow,
keeps going. 14 goals already on the season, so I don't see him slowing down. Plus, he plays with your guy, Kyrou. And Kyrou's going right now.
There you go.
So those two could fuel each other tonight.
Should be fun.
I hope they both score 3 goals.
You know what? That would
be amazing, Carey.
I'd just rather Jordan score 6 if that's the case.
Wow. Okay.
You said I was greedy earlier. Just proving you to be right.
Whatever. Leave some for the rest of us.
Nope.
Who should we give Anthony?
Give him Booch. He likes Booch.
I was just thinking about that. He does like Booch, and Booch is kind of ready to score a goal.
Yeah.
So that's a legit pick for sure.
So Dylan Holloway will for sure score tonight because we have been giving Anthony Dylan Holloway, and he has not been scoring. So, he scored the other night, of course, but we didn't play the game. But now that Jamie picked him, he will definitely score. We'll tell Anthony, he'll get upset, and then he'll come in on Monday, and we'll have to explain to him maybe you should have got your pick in.
Well, it's not even that. He wouldn't have had a choice if, Dylan Holloway is already off the board.
That's true.
He's picking last.
It's Anthony's own fault.
It's nobody's fault, but it's, there you go. Nobody did anything to him.
Fault. No, nobody did anything to him.
We gave him the choice.
If you guys don't mind, I'm going to give you my bet to board.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now.
I hit mine last night, finally.
I did not hit mine. The Florida Panthers, not great, guys. Not great. Let's see here. I'm going to go with the Montreal Canadiens minus 140 on the money line against the Blackhawks.
Man, that Blackhawks team is terrible. They are not good.
They're not playing great right now, that's for sure.
You guys.
I'm okay with it.
I'm not mad at it either. Yeah, keep losing.
Yes.
Not my issue. Blues take on the Senators tonight. The puck will drop at 7 p.m. Jamie will be on the call. Jamie, we will see you Monday? No, we'll hear you Monday. We won't see you Monday.
You won't see me Monday.
Well, we may see you.
But you may.
Yeah, we won't see you in person.
Sure.
Who knows?
Hologram? Never know.
Yeah, that would be
me and Tupac.
It's Jamie Rivers, Andrew Butler, Carey Davis. Yeah, right.
Sometimes.
Gauntlet is next.
4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you survive the Gauntlet?
Brought to you by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for a free inspection.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Andrew Marsh. Jamie Rivers is off to do that hockey, and we are off to do the Gauntlet. And joining us today is Andrew. Andrew, how you doing?
Hi.
You doing well? I think we lost Andrew. Are you there, Andrew?
I think he cut out.
Oh, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there you
yes.
go. Hey, Andrew.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Good.
gotcha. Good.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to do the Gauntlet?
I believe so.
All right, would you like to take on Andrew Marsh or Carey Davis?
I will take the Super Bowl champion himself, Carey Davis.
All right, Andrew.
Ooh.
Good luck.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
All right, Carey is going to head to the Cone of Silence, which does not look that silent right now. There's a lot of people in there. I think they're discussing Star Wars or something. I think that's what's going on here. But, Andrew, you know the drill. Tell me to spin the wheel, and we'll see what category you get.
Spin the wheel, please.
All right, so the wheel knows exactly what you don't want. What category do you want or don't want in the Gauntlet today?
I prefer hockey. I'd rather not have random.
Well, it's a new year. Perhaps it is a new wheel because you have hockey today. You ready for that? All right, 4 questions. You each get all 4 questions. They're the same questions. If you get the question right without using the options, you get 2 points. If you have to use the options and you get it correct, you get 1 point. And of course, if you get it wrong, you get 0 points. Here we go, Andrew. Question number 1. Newly acquired Blue, Cam Fowler, last played in the playoffs for the Ducks in which season?
I think it was the year they lost to Nashville, and I think that was 2017.
Final answer? All right, question number 2. That season, which team faced off against the Washington Capitals in the Stanley Cup Final?
That was the Vegas Golden Knights. Final answer.
Question number 3. This season, which team has a 31.7% power play, which is the best in the NHL?
Options, please.
You said options or Boston? All right, your options are the Edmonton Oilers, the Winnipeg Jets, or the Minnesota Wild?
Jets. Final answer.
Final answer is the Jets?
Yes.
Sorry, you keep cutting out there a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no problem at all. Question number 4. Against which Western Conference team did the Blues score the most goals this season, beating them 5-4? So these questions are actually, they're pretty old. So which team, we'll redo this, which Western Conference team did the Blues score the most goals against this season?
In a single game
In a single
over
game.
A single game. Options, please.
Your options are the Seattle Kraken, the San Jose Sharks, or the Nashville Predators.
The San Jose Sharks. Final answer.
All right, let's get Carey back in here. How you feeling, Andrew?
I felt better.
All right, Carey is walking in. Carey, how was the Cone of Silence?
I wasn't silent at all.
Well, that's what I was saying when you walked out.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people in there.
Yeah, we were looking at Snowmageddon is what Ryder called it.
What is Snowmageddon?
No, that's what this weekend is. Snowmageddon.
It's what this weekend is.
Yeah,
Okay.
all the snow and ice that is headed our way.
Okay.
Be careful out there.
All right.
Yeah.
Hockey is your category.
Oh, do that hockey.
Yeah, pack a lunch.
Okay.
All right, question number 1. Newly acquired Blue, Cam Fowler, last played in the playoffs for the Ducks in which season?
Oh, man. Ooh. Well, I don't think it matters if I get the option. So let's say 2016, 2017. Final answer.
Alrighty. Question number 2. That season, which team faced off against the Washington Capitals in the Stanley Cup final?
In that year?
In that season.
2016, 2017?
Well, that season, which team faced off against the Washington Capitals in the Stanley Cup final?
So I don't know if this is the correct season.
Hey, I don't write the questions.
What the heck? All right, give me the options.
Options are the Nashville Predators, the Vegas Golden Knights, or the San Jose Sharks.
Golden Knights. What year? It's terrible. Give me the Golden Knights. Give me the options again. You know what? Let's go Sharks.
Final answer?
Final answer.
All right, question number 3. This season, which team has a 31.7% power play, the best in the NHL?
These are complete guesses. Okay. Give me the options, please.
Options are the Edmonton Oilers, the Winnipeg Jets, or the Minnesota Wild.
Okay, let's go Jets. Final answer.
Question number 4. Against which Western Conference team did the Blues score the most goals this season?
So they scored 7. Nashville. Final answer.
All right, let's go over these. This one should be a good one.
Nah, I don't like how you rubbed your hands together.
What are you talking about?
You like this one should be a good one.
All right, let's start with question number 1. Newly acquired Blue Cam Fowler last played in the playoffs for the Ducks in which season? Andrew, you said 2017 without the options. Carey, you said 2016, 2017.
Is that the same year?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
So the playoffs would have been in the following year.
Okay.
So, yes.
All right.
The correct answer is 2018, so it doesn't matter. 0-0 is the score. They were swept by San Jose in the first round in 2018. Let's go to question number 2. That season, which team faced off against the Washington Capitals in the Stanley Cup final? Andrew, you said the Vegas Golden Knights. Carey, you said the San Jose Sharks.
Anthony Sharks.
The correct answer is the Vegas Golden Knights.
Think of that.
Andrew did not need the options. So he has a 2-0 lead after 2 questions.
That's tough.
Question number 3. This season, which team has a 31.7% power play, the best in the NHL? Andrew, you said the Winnipeg Jets. Carey, you said the Winnipeg Jets. The correct answer is it's the Winnipeg Jets. But you both needed the options.
Oh, okay.
So Andrew is up 3-1.
Huh?
Final question. Against which Western Conference team did the Blues score the most goals this season? In a single game, of course. Probably should have put that in on the question. Andrew, you said the San Jose Sharks. Carey, you said the Nashville Predators. If it is the San Jose Sharks or literally any other team in the NHL, Andrew, you will win in today's Gauntlet. Carey, if it's the Nashville Predators, we have ourselves a walk-off. Andrew.
Walk it off.
It is the Nashville Predators. 7 goals. 7 goals. 7-2, and that just happened, too.
I remember that.
We have ourselves a walk-off. Andrew, if you do not know, in a tiebreaker, we will say the question. Carey will write down his answer. We have you wait, and then after Carey is done writing his answer, we'll have you immediately tell us what your answer is. Sound good? Sound good, Andrew?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, here's a tiebreaker question. How many goals did the Blues score under Drew Bannister this season?
Oh, my gosh.
Jeez.
Oh, how many games did they play?
All right, Carey is writing his answer down. I don't know what he's writing down, actually.
That feels like too many, or maybe not enough.
All right, Carey has his answer. Andrew, what is your answer?
31. Final answer.
Andrew.
You have chosen wisely.
Carey, what'd you write down?
29.
The correct answer is 52.
Oh, man, we were way off.
We were way off on the total.
Congratulations, Andrew. We'll have you back on Monday.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you.
Oh, man. That's tough.
That is tough, Carey.
I felt like that was too low. I couldn't think of how many games they played. I was like, how many games did they play under Bannister? What was it, like 20, 15?
Yes, something like that.
Well, they wasn't scoring a lot of goals.
Way more than 15.
20 games?
Had to be in the 20s.
They wasn't scoring a lot of goals. Otherwise, I mean, we can say.
I don't know.
Goodness gracious. All right.
Tough.
That's another L for me, and I got to go sit in the penalty box, which I hate.
That's right.
Man, it's hard to hear back there. Marcia, you came up with this topic. You have a tier system entering 2025. I have not seen this. I have no clue as to what we're talking about. I won't be able to hear you, so maybe just do some flashcards or something while I'm back there in the penalty box. We'll discuss the Cardinals' fun tier system next when we return on the Fast Lane. Welcome back to the Fast Lane, live from the penalty box where I cannot hear myself. I am Carey Davis, joined by Andrew Marsh. Jamie Rivers is off to do the Blues game versus the Ottawa Senators. Anthony Stalter will be returning on Monday, and we have the Cardinals tier system entering 2025. I have no clue what Marshy has in store. So what you got, Marshy? Again, if you got flashcards, I'll be able to see it better. But if not, okay, yep, there you go. What is it? What you got?
All right, so this is from Brooksgate, entering 2025, all of the Major League Baseball teams in this tier system, and I wanted to get your opinion on if you agree with some of these, if you disagree with some of these. So let's just start from the top. And of course, we're going to get to where your St. Louis Cardinals are.
Okay.
I don't know if you'll like it, but bullies in Major League Baseball, the LA Dodgers. And that's it.
Okay. So they're the top tier.
They're the top tier
like
bullies.
They're
the bullies.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay, yeah.
Just them by themselves. You don't, not the Yankees?
Just them by themselves.
They're the only bully on the block?
Only bully.
Well, in fairness, there's usually only one bully.
Well, there's like bullies, and then there's like the posse, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Are they also bullies, or are they like?
I think they're following the bully.
Yeah.
Like they get bullied by the bully as well.
Do they?
Oh yeah. Why do you think they hang around? They're hang-alongs. They just they do what the bully says, and they have no options. That's kind of how it works.
Okay.
There's usually one bully. Okay, bullies.
So we have World Series favorites: the Atlanta Braves, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the New York Yankees.
Okay. I can see that. All right.
Playoff teams include the Baltimore Orioles, the New York Mets, and the San Diego Padres.
Oh, okay.
Solidified playoff teams.
So we're at, 8 teams total right now in the top 3 tiers?
We're in so we have 7.
Is that 7?
7 so far. Are you surprised that the Mets with Juan Soto aren't in World Series favorites?
A little bit. That is, you would figure that the addition of him, did they do anything in pitching? I thought they signed someone. Did they sign a pitcher? Or am I thinking the Yankees? I know
You're thinking of the Yankees.
Yeah,
they got freed.
Yep, there you go.
The Mets did lose Severino to the A's.
Okay. So, yeah, okay.
But they did go to the NLCS last year.
I'm okay with that, though. I'm okay with playoff team.
Okay. Contenders include Arizona, Boston, Chicago Cubs, not the White Sox, of course, the Cleveland Guardians, the Houston Astros, Kansas City Royals, Milwaukee Brewers, San Francisco Giants, and the Texas Rangers.
Now, Marshy, my math is, math is a little difficult. I think you named 2 teams in the NL Central on that list. That's contenders.
Yes, the Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers.
Okay, well, there's a team from here missing, but continue.
No, they're not in that.
What?
No, they're not in the contender
Are they
category.
They're the next tier under?
No, actually, there's another one.
Oh, my goodness. What's the next tier?
The next one is can't hit but can pitch. The Seattle Mariners and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh, my God. Where are we? What's the next tier?
Okay, so the next one is trending up. You want to take a guess at who is trending up?
The Cincinnati Reds would probably be in that. Are the Cardinals on that list? Are they in that tier?
Cardinals are not in this tier.
Oh my goodness!
And neither are the Cincinnati Reds.
Cincinnati Reds aren't in that trending upwards. What division are we in?
We have a National League team and an American League team.
Are the Giants trending up?
Nope, they are contenders.
Oh, you said them already. I missed. I was listening. Ooh, where are we? Well, I know it's not the Miami Marlins. They're not trending up. They couldn't possibly be trending up. What NL team? We're out of the NL Central, NL West. You named all of those teams. NL East?
NL East.
Is it the NL? Mm-hmm. You said the Braves. You said the Phillies. I just said the Marlins. It's not them. Who am I missing? What team in the NL East am I missing?
Would you like me to tell you?
Sure. You said the Mets. They're not there. What team is it?
The Nationals.
The Nats. Oh, nobody thinks about the Nationals.
The Nats are trending up, and there's an American League West team that is trending up.
Ain't the
It might shock you.
It ain't the Oakland.
It absolutely is.
Vegas Athletic A's
it's
from
the
Sacramento.
It's the Athletics. Does that shock you?
That does shock me. They don't even know where they're playing. Where are they playing at? What city?
Sacramento.
The Sacramento, Las Vegas, Oakland Athletics. All right. Where are we? The St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh,
we're not trending up?
No, we're not here yet. Okay. We have the who knows category.
Oh, we're definitely in the who knows category.
Well,
right?
That'd be something if we were. We're not. The Cincinnati Reds, the Detroit Tigers, the Los Angeles Angels, the Minnesota Twins, Tampa Bay Rays, and Toronto Blue Jays are in the who knows category.
How are the Tigers in the who knows category? Didn't they make the playoffs last year?
They did.
How are they in the who knows? They're not trending up. You can't make the playoffs and be
that's a good question.
In that category.
That's a good question.
Who
Trending
knows?
down.
Oh my gosh.
There's one team in the trending down category. Would you like to guess who it is?
You're St. Louis Cardinals.
It is the St. Louis Cardinals.
They
They're
are
trending
the
down.
bottom team?
Well, no, there's 3 other teams in the yikes category.
Who are those?
That's the Miami Marlins, the Chicago White Sox, and the Colorado Rockies.
Okay.
But you, for all intents and purposes, are
second to last.
Second to last in these in these categories, and you're the only team in trending down.
Yeah. You got to start somewhere, I guess. That's not great. I mean, I guess there are so many questions going into 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they going to go with Nolan Arenado? Who's playing where? Wilson Contreras is going to be your first baseman. How does that project work out? How is that going to work if he's – well, I mean, we don't know if he's good or not. We don't know what it looks like. We know he's good with a bat in his hands, but we don't know if he can play first base. So there are probably more questions than answers right now. Are they going to keep Eric Fedde in the starting rotation? Do you have – 3 young pitchers in your starting 5 of rotation? Who is where and who's doing what? I think right now and it's kind of crazy, and I don't know how you feel. There are 2 players in my mind, 2.5, that I think you can hang your hat on and say, okay, I know what they're going to do. Maybe 3. But I won't put him in there because I don't know what he's doing in the field. Mason Wynn, Brendan Donovan, and Alec Burleson.
I throw Wilson Contreras in there.
But I'm saying you don't know what he's going. It's like a wild card, him playing first base.
Okay, so you're just saying like overall game?
Overall, the position they're playing.
I mean, you could argue and say, well, Mason Wynn was a rookie last year. We saw last season that Corbin Carroll had somewhat of a down year before he started slowly picking things up. But, maybe Mason Wynn takes a step back and then takes a step forward. Like, who knows? Like, right?
They can't afford that.
Oh, my goodness, no. Not at all. Like, they can't afford that at all.
No.
But, like, Brendan Donovan, I think, is a solid name to throw out there in terms of exactly what you're going to get from him. And
Alec Burleson would be the other.
I think he's trending up, and you know my stance on him.
I think his season was really good, and then it kind of tailed off towards.
It did, yeah.
August, September, it started tailing off just a little bit. But I don't know that they have. I guess that's why you would say they are trending down, because you don't know. Sonny Gray is going to pitch well. Mm-hmm. Is Eric Fedde going to pitch well? Do you know that for sure?
He might not even be on the team.
He might not be on the team. We saw Andre Pallante show up and have some really good performances.
I think he's going to show up this year.
I hope he does. But then what else do you have? You put Steven Matz, is he in the bullpen? What are you doing? What is Miles Michaelis doing? Like, there are so many questions going into the 25 season and not enough answers. Is Nolan Arenado going to be on the team? If he's not, do you trust Nolan Gorman to be your everyday third baseman? Can he hit consistently? What is Jordan Walker going to do in the field? There are so many damn questions. What is he going to do at the plate?
Is Lars Nootbaar going to stay healthy?
Listen, there are more questions than answers, and so they're not in the yikes category, which, you lose. How many games did the White Sox lose? 100 what?
Oh, I don't know. I stopped counting, but it was a lot. It was a lot.
So they're not in that category. But it is a little bit worrisome trying to figure out what they are going to look like in 2025. Who's going to be hitting where? Who's going to be playing where? How does Wilson Contreras? How does he do at first base? Is it a project that doesn't go well? Is it something that he's unable to do, consistently? That would be problematic. So there are a lot of questions going into this season, and I think there are only a few answers. Brendan Donovan is one answer. But I don't know where he's playing. I have no clue. I think Mason Wynn is another answer. He performed extremely well at shortstop. He's going to be a really good player, hopefully a superstar at that position. But other than that, can you say for sure you're confident about much else?
Not really. I think the entertainment value for this team is going to come in the unknown. Like, what are we going to get? Like, I'm curious, right? Like, because there's really nothing else to be excited about.
Yeah.
because for all intents and purposes, like, this team is not going to be a playoff team. That's what everybody believes.
If they make the playoffs, then listen.
That's great.
That is outstanding.
Yeah.
Because that is not on anyone's bingo card for 2025.
But, like, if they do, then you're saying, oh, okay, like, this is what they needed to do all along. And it stinks that they kind of waited up until this point to start letting these guys just play.
If they make the playoffs, is Nolan Arenado on this roster?
Ooh,
if they are
question.
a playoff contention, is he the catalyst for that? Is he on this roster? And if not, that means you got some guys playing out of their mind.
So, wow. I think it'd be interesting to think about an idea of this team making the playoffs without Goldschmidt or Arenado, and I would find it hilarious.
Is that a stain on their legacy as Cardinals if Nolan Arenado isn't here? Obviously, Paul Goldschmidt is off to New York. If they make the playoffs with the roster that they have in place, and we don't know who's doing what, we haven't seen it consistently from. We've only seen it consistently at the plate from Wilson Contreras. I don't know what he's going to do at first base. I don't know. Too many questions, but. Is that a stain on their legacy as Cardinals? Do they get numbers on the wall if your team makes the playoffs the first year that they are removed from the roster?
I don't know if it's a stain. I think people already think what they've done right now is a stain. Like that,
it's more of a stain then, if that's the case.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good look.
Right.
Like, it's not a good look, but, like, it's all circumstantial, right? Like, what do these other teams look like in the division?
Yeah.
I just think it's different. The pitching what if the pitching's lights out this year? And you make it to the playoffs because of pitching and defense and all these different things, and maybe not defense because, Arenado is still a good defender and Goldschmidt's a great first baseman. So, I don't know. I think it just depends, but it definitely wouldn't be a good look. Like, if you're writing storylines, it wouldn't be a storyline that you would like to have had happen if you're one of those players.
Not at all.
Unless you go to the playoffs yourselves and
win
on
a
another
World
team.
Series.
Yeah, then they don't care.
Yeah, you got to win it all if that's the case. That's Andrew Marsh. I'm Carey Davis. Coming up next, we have Are You Sold? I will be out of the penalty box, thank goodness, because I can't hear. That's next on the Fast Lane.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Ottawa Senators. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. If you've missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers 101 ESPN mobile app. Just head to the podcast page and you'll find all of our interviews and full shows there. And it's all brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. We have Are You Sold coming up next. So get your Are You Sold statements into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. Are You Sold coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Andrew Marsh, and it is time for Are You Sold? Marshy, go.
All right, from the 636, Are You Sold that the semifinal in the college football playoff will be as entertaining as ones in the previous years?
Oh, yeah. I think you're going to have – these are some good teams, good matchups. Ohio State has shown that they deserve to be there. I think a lot of people wrote them off when they lost to Michigan in the final week of the season. I think a lot of people wrote Notre Dame off when they lost in week 2 to Northern Illinois. How could you consider yourself a championship team and you lose at home to NIU? And so that team was wrote off. Penn State was written off after they lost to Ohio State earlier this year because they just didn't look good. They didn't look explosive. So you have some good teams. In Texas, they probably should have lost to Arizona State a couple of days ago, but they found a way to win that game. And so, I think it'll be a good matchup this upcoming. I don't know what day they play. Is it next Saturday? The games are so they've thrown me off.
I think they play on Thursday and Friday.
Is it Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, next Thursday, next Friday.
Who can keep up with the dates at this point because they're playing on odd days? But no, it should be a good matchup. I think all 4 of those teams have earned the right to be there. I'm excited, man. It's been good. You got none of the top 4 seeds in, right? All 4 of the teams that had a bye lost, and so it's gonna be fun to watch these 4 teams duke it out for the right to play in the national championship game.
From the 417, Chiefs have a record, but with the firepower in the AFC, are you sold? So they got a good record. Mm-hmm. Of course, only 1 loss on the year. Are you sold, though, on the Chiefs heading into the playoffs, given that they haven't really looked great throughout the entire regular season?
They have not looked great at all. They have had so many one-possession games that they have won, whether it be on a late blocked field goal, a quarterback in Las Vegas that couldn't handle the snap, if you got a toe that was out of bounds by Isaiah Likely to start the season off. There are so many things that have gone right for them. But I will tell you this, the thing I know about sports is when you're a good team, things always go your way. It's the weirdest thing in the world. When you stink, nothing happens right. Mm-hmm. When you stink, the center snaps the ball into your chest when you're on the 15 or 20-yard line, and it's a fumble, like the Las Vegas Raiders did when you're trying to go score. When you stink, you get a field goal blocked when you're trying to win the game. If you're was it the Denver Broncos, or that was the team they blocked the field goal on? Like when you stink or are not as good as your opponent, you find ways to lose. And when you're good, you find ways to win. I don't think this is a good team in Kansas City. They have not been explosive offensively. They have played in, I said, too many one-possession games, but they find a way to win. And I wouldn't be surprised if they win a Super Bowl again. Just is what it is.
Wouldn't that be frustrating? I don't even think it's a frustrating thing if Kansas City three-peats, but they were just dominant, right? They just dominated faces. Yeah. And you're like, man, okay, like this is a fantastic football team. Like no one really stood a chance. Like they were dominating all season long. But it's the fact that it seems like they keep getting by the skin of their teeth. Like they just keep finding weird ways to win, and it's like frustrating because you want
it to end.
Yeah, like a team like that should lose.
You want it to end. You're like all of us. Just get it over with. And they say, no, not yet. I'm here, and deal with it. And it's frustrating because they do find a way.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They'll probably win. From the 314, are you sold on the weather that is potentially coming in, or are the meteorologists just full of themselves? Go Vikings, says the 314.
You know, I don't want to upset any meteorologists out there. I've been told that the things like the margin is so slim for it being exactly correct or them being completely off. The margins are so slim that something could change in the atmosphere and it'd be completely different. And people give them a hard time. And they do put in a lot of work to figure out and to be correct. Nobody wants to be wrong. So I don't pick on meteorologists. It's a tough job, a job that I am clearly not qualified for. So you guys and gals, thank you for keeping us updated. And I hope you're wrong. Hell, I hope you're wrong this time. I'm sure they hope they're wrong too. But I think the margins are so slim for that job that, one thing this way or the other way, don't get me to quoting it, but I have been told that it is a slim margin for being right and being wrong.
From the 314, are you sold that Scattaboo is at least a second-round pick? Are you also sold that this is the deepest running back class in several years?
I don't know. So whenever you get to looking at positions, right, who is going to get drafted where and what round they're going to go in, it always comes back to how fast do they run? What are their measurables in comparison to other running backs? I know obviously Ashton Genty is high on that list. The running back from Iowa, Caleb Johnson, is high on that list. I don't know what Scattaboo is. I don't know what he's going to run. I know he had a great game, but we've seen running backs have great games. Cody Schrader was one of the top running backs in the SEC a couple of years ago, and I think he went undrafted, or was it a fifth-round draft pick? I can't remember. Tyler Beatty was another one that was really good for Mizzou a few years ago. It's extremely hard once you get into the draft because it's not just about what you did on film for those guys. They try to put in the measurables and how fast and how quick and all of those other things. I wish it was just based off of game film because what he did against Texas's defense was outstanding. He threw a touchdown. He ran for a couple. He was playing his butt off, man, and got the MVP of the game. Like, to lose the game and still be named the MVP, it says a lot about who you are and what you did. But once they get into the combine and pro days, it's hard to tell if he will be a second-round draft pick or not. He might be one of those guys that's a later 5th, 6th, 7th round, maybe even undrafted, depending on what his pro day looks like. Now, if you go out there and run a 4.3, a 4.2, I don't think he's that fast, then you can change your whole life. You can change everything just by running fast. So all of that weighs into what they do and what they decide.
Yeah, I wonder if there's certain teams that could use a guy like that in terms of like the way that he plays, that gritty style. He might not be a starter by any means, but they could find different packages to use him. I feel like there's certain teams, like Pittsburgh comes to mind.
Well, Pittsburgh got two guys.
No, I know they do, but I'm talking about like a team like that, like Detroit, right? Like they have guys as well, but they could find ways to use him, like a Carson Steele for the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Like that guy wasn't, a household name by any means, but he works well with that offense when they need him to. So I wonder if he can find a role like that.
I'm looking at like the top backs for the NFL draft and where he's ranked. Right now, they got him ranked somewhere between 12 and 15 of the running backs ahead of him. I guess he's projected 3rd to 5th round. Again, all of that could change depending on what happens in front of him and with other players and, how well he runs. Like it really, they want to know at that position. Obviously, the durability is a question, not for him, but for all running backs. Is he durable? Can he pass block? Can he catch out of the backfield? And what is his true time when he's running a 40? And that's going to be usually the deciding factor of if they want to draft a guy or not. So
I always with these combines, I'm like, did you not watch him play? Like, why do you need all these different things? Like, I understand. But like Xavier Worthy, right? He just runs so fast. I think he broke the record last year.
Yeah.
But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and don't get me wrong, he's a good football player. But there's certain things throughout the year where it's like, this guy looks like a rookie.
Yep.
Right? I'm just saying, like, do you watch the film?
For me, I would always put the film over what a person runs or what they do at a combine or a pro day, because I want football players. I don't want track stars. I don't want agility guys, because all of those things are things you can train to get better at. I want guys that show it on film, right? I want to see a football player. I don't care how many times you can bench press 225 on a bench. If you're laying on your back in the game, it's probably not a good look. If you got to push guys off of you because you got pancaked or sat down. So I don't put too much stock in it. I think it should just add value into what you think a player is. I watched the film. Okay, and he can run in real life. Okay, he's strong. Okay, he's explosive because he can jump high and he's able to get in and out of cuts really well. I think it should add value, but there are teams that put the value of what a person does at a combine over what they've done on film. And usually those teams are bad teams, Marcia.
Yeah, that checks out.
You know, you ran a 4-3, sign him. He hasn't caught a ball yet, sir.
What's his Madden rating? What's his NCAA football rating?
Yeah, I don't think you should go with that.
We should draft that guy.
That's kind of ridiculous. Not a great decision. But there are some organizations that make those decisions, and they end up drafting in the first, 5 to 10 picks every year. Kind of happens that way. That's Andrew Marsh. I'm Carey Davis. Coming up, does the bye hurt the college football playoffs? If you were one of those teams that had a bye, you lost. So we'll talk about it. Did it actually hurt those teams not playing in that game the week prior? We'll talk about it next on the Fast Lane. Welcome back to the Fast Lane. The time is 4:50. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. And Marcia, you had this question about the college football playoffs and asked, does a bye actually hurt the teams that are playing in it? Now, we saw this past week all four of the top seeds, 1, 2, 3, 4, they all lost. They all had a bye. They all had more time off going into this game. So normally in the NFL, when a team gets a bye, it's a 1-week bye. And in this situation, it's been 3 weeks since those teams last played. You had Ohio State play the week before. You had Texas play the week before. You had Penn State and Notre Dame both play the week before. But Georgia, Boise, Oregon, and Arizona State all had extra time off. And the question is, does that bye actually hurt them? I think there's always the age-old question, rust versus rest. Which one is more important? Is it important to when you're playing well, keep playing and keep going, or is it also important? Is it more important to get the rest? And I've always been a person, especially with football, I feel like the emphasis should always be on rest. Do I think that one extra week of not playing hurt those teams? I don't know. I don't think it necessarily did, right? I think Texas probably should have lost that game. That's probably the one game that you look at and say, they were second half. Arizona State played their butts off, took it into overtime, double overtime, and were unable to finish the deal. Oregon had no chance. They were down 34-8 by half, and I don't think the score of 41-21 might not even be indicative of what that really looked like. Penn State, I think they were better than Boise, and I think that's just what it was. And then you look at Georgia, they're without their starting quarterback. And I know people, Gunnar Stockton. You're playing without your starting quarterback. Good luck.
And I don't think he was terrible.
But it doesn't. He wasn't.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. He wasn't the starter, and there's a reason why he wasn't the starter. So I don't know if the rust was an issue that extra week that they had, or was it just the teams that they were playing were better teams?
I think that's what it was. I think the only game that you could really look at and be like, okay, this one is the one that may have hurt the team in terms of the bye was the Oregon and Ohio State game, because Ohio State, they're coming off of, imagine if Ohio State loses, well, I guess they wouldn't have get to bye though. They lose to Michigan, right? For them, instead of, getting a bye or whatever, like they wouldn't have though, because they lost.
Yeah. If they beat Michigan and played Oregon in the Big Ten championship game.
Right. Yeah. So Ohio State, they had the opportunity to essentially reset their team and figure out, why they lost, why it didn't work. And then they started playing. They played really good football against Tennessee. That's a ton of momentum. They had a huge chip on their shoulder. People are saying their head coach should be fired, including us. And then they go and they beat the brakes off of Oregon, and Oregon's just kind of sitting around waiting a few weeks, waiting for this game to happen. And, this has happened before where, teams had to wait like a full month, it seemed like, for the BCS national championship game. But both teams had to wait the same amount of time to play that game. It'd be a lot different if one team waited, 3 weeks and then they played against a team who played the week before.
Yeah.
And sort of got their rhythm. And football is all about rhythm.
Yeah.
And you know that.
It is. I would say for the Ohio State game, they lost to Oregon at Oregon by 1 point. Right. Now you're playing the same team on a neutral field, and you beat them by 20.
And they were driving, too, in that game to kick a field goal and win the game.
So, in my opinion, on a neutral field or at Ohio State, that's a better team because they had an opportunity to win that game in Oregon earlier in the year. So had they played in the Big Ten championship game, they probably would have beat them, and they did finally beat them in the college football playoff. So I think Ohio State was the better team. They had one really bad loss, and that was to Michigan. Michigan was not a team that they should have lost to, but they did. And they figured out some things. They got all the way back together, got back right, and they beat up on Tennessee, and then they headed down, and they were able to beat up on Oregon in the manner in which they did. I don't know if it had more to do with the extra off week for those teams than it did just playing some teams that were playing really good football. And I think that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. No, I agree. We always talk about this kind of stuff, and by we, I mean like just the media in general. You know, when Major League Baseball expanded the playoff, and then the teams that had the bye, they ended up losing until, you know, I believe it was this year where the Dodgers, at least in the National League, the Dodgers finally broke that trend. But it's always something that comes up. You know, it's the rest versus rust. What do you really want? And I think it really just boils down to how much time you have. And one thing that I'm interested to see, we were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and are you sold, is if their starters are not playing this week, they'll go from Christmas Day to essentially January, 11th, 10th or 11th of not playing.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It is a long layoff. But you need that. You need it.
Yeah.
Like, I think football, again, it's just a different animal. Your body, from game one till the final game of the year, you never are 100%, right? You're always dealing with some form or fashion of pain, and you're trying to manage it. And if you can get 2 weeks off, whether that's in the NFL with the Chiefs having their players sitting out because they locked up the number 1 seed, or if you're in college and you get to have 3 weeks off, your body appreciates it. Like, you feel so much better, and it just changes how your outlook for the following, for the upcoming game. The another thing I wanted to mention is the Arizona State. They did have that extra week off, and they didn't play particularly well in the first half. Their starting safety, Shamari Simmons, came back in the second half. He had to miss the first half because of a targeting penalty in the game before. So he had to miss that, and he was an impact player right away. He's the one that caused the safety early in the second half by putting his hat on the helmet. I'm putting his helmet on the football and causing the safety. So you have those things as well. Like, it's not just always the rust issue.
Right.
Sometimes you got players not playing, and then sometimes you're playing, you run into a buzzsaw, and that's what Oregon did. They ran into a buzzsaw in the Ohio State Buckeyes, and they were unable to be able to fight their way back into that game. It was done from the beginning. That's Andrew Marsh. I'm Carey Davis. Coming up next, we have the NFL Week 18 Pick'em Challenge. Listen, Marsh,
we gotta win.
We gotta lock in, man. We are really not. We haven't played well.
No.
Like, we have, I will say it, we've stunk.
We have.
We have stunk down the stretch. But this weekend is the final opportunity to put the Riz Show down for the last week of the season and finish this thing off.
We gotta close it out.
We got to lock in and close it out. And we'll give you our picks when we return on the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN.
Challenge on 101 ESPN.
Refreshed by Bud Light.
Well, you sure know how to pick them.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane, joined by Andrew Marsh. I'm Carey Davis, and it is time for the NFL Week 18 Pick'em Challenge. Again, we've been doing this all season long versus the Rizzuto Show. We had a 7-0 lead, and somehow or another, I think we've only won 2 games since. It's not great, Marsh, but we finish it this week. It's my word, hopefully.
Hey, good teams find ways to close it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Just made it a little more drama, you know. Get their
made it
hopes up.
entertaining.
Yeah, that's what the people want.
Yeah.
Right? I would have rather won 18-0.
Me too. Me too, Carey.
Yeah. All right.
All right, let's go over some of these games. We'll start on Saturday. We'll go over some of the bigger games in the NFL because, you know, some of these I really don't care about, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners don't either. But let's go with the Bengals and the Steelers Saturday.
I knew you were gonna go
primetime game. It is in Pittsburgh, but the Bengals are a 2.5 favorite.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go there. I didn't know you were going to start there. I got to go Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is already in the playoffs. The Bengals need a win and some assistance to get into the playoffs. If you're Pittsburgh, you got a chance to close out the season on one of your division rivals. Shut the door, man. Shut them out. Shut the door. Don't give them a chance to make it into the playoffs because you mess around and end up playing them and they'll end up beating you in the playoffs. Don't give them a chance. Close the door. I got the Steelers in that game at home. You know, listen, I stand by this. I know people probably think I'm a homer. There is no better place to play in the world than a night game in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I mean that it is as a player, and I think even as a fan, like going into the stadium, it honestly feels like Friday night in a small town where the entire city shuts down. Like you're driving to the stadium, it's no restriction getting in there on a Sunday or a Monday night. Sure to be the same for a Saturday night. You get in there, you get ready to play, and you know that all eyeballs are tuned in to watch the Steelers play on a night game. This week it'll be a Saturday night game. So, yeah, I got the Steelers. I got Pittsburgh.
I think the Steelers are going to win this game, too. They need to win this game because they've dropped a lot of games as of recent, and you don't want to go into the playoffs with a pretty significant losing streak, in my opinion. So I think this is a get-right game for the Steelers. It's a divisional game, a rivalry game, and I don't know if the Bengals defense can really... Well, you know,
the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now I know their offense. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
They have been on life support the last few weeks, so hopefully they can find George Pickens and Calvin Austin and get the running game back going again, and you know get some points on the board because, I mean, I know they have the talent and the ability for whatever reason. I know Pickens missed a few games there during that 3-game losing streak, but they got to find a way to score and win this game.
Well, the Steelers have guys that can get to the quarterback.
There you go.
And I'll go with that team.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with that.
Especially against Cincinnati's offensive line. Isn't that great?
Coming to work is optional.
Yeah, it certainly is. All right, let's go through the line here on Sunday. Panthers-Falcons. The Falcons are not necessarily eliminated from the playoffs, even though Anthony Stalter probably thinks they are. You going with the Falcons over the Panthers?
I am. This is a must-win game. Michael Penix going to get his second start. It's another opportunity. I thought he played pretty well in the first game against the Commanders, and I just think the Falcons have to win. They have to win, and they need a loss by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get into the playoffs. It would be, to me, it's dreadful, the fact that they are in this position and would be out of the playoffs because they were really taking care of their business pretty much all season long in the NFC South, and then they ran into a stretch, I think, where they lost 3 or 4 games in a row or 3 out of 4. It turned bad and ugly really quickly for that team. So I got the Falcons winning because they have to, and I'm also not I'm not too high. I know they've had a good turnaround, but I think the Panthers would lose that game. I got the Falcons winning it.
All right, same division here, Buccaneers and Saints.
Yeah, you got to go with the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
I think, Baker Mayfield has shown this season and last season that he's a really good football player. So, I'm going with the Buccaneers. They'll probably win. If they win, they'll win the division. And the Saints, I don't want to say they ain't trying.
No, they're trying. They just stink.
They used to call them the Aints.
Yeah.
The New Orleans Aints.
Yeah, because they ain't good.
They ain't good. And they ain't been good this year either.
Nope.
Pretty bad.
Derek Carr will not play either. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it doesn't really matter for them. Chiefs and Broncos. This is the one that I find interesting because, the Chiefs are 15-1. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be playing, most of their starters, I would assume. Broncos have everything on the line. They need to make the playoffs.
They do.
If they win, they're in. Who are you going with? Like, Carson Wentz is still like a capable backup.
Yeah. I'm still going with the Chiefs. I think.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. I know Patrick Mahomes is not playing. You got a few guys that won't be playing, but I think the Chiefs are the better team. And the Broncos, they have to win the game, obviously, to get into the playoffs. But I think there's a level of pride for this Kansas City Chiefs team. They're not playing their starters, but they do want to finish the season on the right foot. And I still think they're the better team. So I got them winning, and we'll see who makes it into the playoffs if the Broncos lose, because the Dolphins and the Bengals are waiting and hoping that there's a loss there so they can slide into the playoffs.
Well, speaking of Miami will take on the Jets. 3:25 start time. The Dolphins are a favorite, -1, so 1-point favorite over Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. We talked about it earlier in the show. Could be Aaron Rodgers' final NFL game, depending on what he decides, and we'll probably not know that until he takes another retreat, goes into the darkness, has all that fun stuff going on for him. But who are you going with in this game? Because Tua, Jamie mentioned earlier, not playing.
Yeah.
Is that official?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I'm still going with the Dolphins. Again, they have to win this game. The New York Jets are terrible. Like, we can admit that. They've been terrible all season long. Not that they're not trying. I think they're giving their best effort. They just ain't got it. And it does say Tua unlikely to play with the hip. So I'm still going Dolphins there. I don't think the Jets are good. Whether who they're playing, because their quarterback and that play hasn't been good for them.
Do you like, by the way, that these games are happening? So we'll know if the Bengals lose on Saturday, we'll know, okay, the Bengals are out.
Yep.
If they win, then they have to watch games, and it's essentially in the hands of these other teams. Do you like that these games are occurring at the same time?
If you're the Denver Broncos, probably not. If you're the Denver Broncos,
you just go out and win.
You win.
Go out and win. But if you're the Miami Dolphins, there's certain play calls that maybe you change.
Probably. Like if you realize, obviously, if the Broncos lose, you're like, oh, we got a chance. And that's really all that matters. They're not worried about what the Bengals did the day before. It doesn't matter to them because they're ahead of the Bengals. I don't know if it changes things for you.
Because you just got to win regardless.
You just got to win. Both teams, all three teams have to win their game. And, if you take care of your business and you're the Broncos, it doesn't matter what everyone else does.
I'm going with the Dolphins in that one, too. Man, this Chiefs and Broncos one, though. I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Maybe I'll switch my pick, though. I could see the Jets going out. Like Aaron Rodgers' final game, going out, doing good, and, it just didn't mean anything. Because that wouldn't make sense, though, right?
Wishful thinking. You're hoping for the best from them. Man, I don't think he got any of the best in them.
I don't want to see the Dolphins go to the playoffs. I don't think they're that good. All right, final game. Vikings, Lions. Final game of the regular season. Sunday Night Football.
For
the
all
winner
the
for all the NFC marbles and for the regular season. And number one team, they get the bye. Whoever wins gets that bye. Who are you going with?
I want to know who you're going with.
Okay, so I'm
in
this pick'em challenge. I'll be taking the Lions. Be fading the Vikings per usual.
I'm disappointed.
I mean, obviously, I'm rooting for the Vikings, Carey. Who do I think will win? I don't know. I think in years past, I would have looked at the Vikings and been like, all right, this is where they ruin things. They just break my heart. But for whatever reason, like these magical seasons with these like one-off quarterbacks, potentially, of course, we don't know what Sam Darnold's future is, especially in Minnesota, but it reminds me of like the Case Keenum year. Like Case Keenum is going to take a team to the NFC Championship game.
He did.
I know it was a great season. I know that game stunk, but
was that the pass interference call? Was that year? What happened in that year? Or was that
they got smoked by the Eagles.
Oh, that was
and then
the Eagles.
Nick Foles went on and won the Super Bowl.
Okay, I'm thinking.
So that Super Bowl was in Minnesota.
Got you.
So if they would have won, they would have been basically hosting the Super Bowl and playing in it.
Saints that year with Stephon Diggs on the walk-off. Is that the game?
Yes, that was the Minneapolis Miracle.
Before the NFC Championship game.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so I do have the Lions. And I will say this. I think the Lions need, if any team, I don't know, the Kansas City Chiefs don't need the number 1 overall seed.
Right.
They're fine. I think the Lions need it.
Yeah, they need a bye.
They need a bye. David Montgomery may be able to return. I know there was talks that he might be out indefinitely. They're saying that potentially he could be back. If you get that bye week, you're really looking at a chance for him to be back for the divisional round. But they've had so many injuries. I know Aiden Hutchinson got hurt earlier in the year. There have been talks that if they made it to the Super Bowl, he could be back as well. I want to see the best version of the Lions, and in order for them to be the best version of themselves, I think they need to bye. I do think they win. They're playing in Detroit.
Yep.
It's going to be a tough task, but it's going to be a good game. I want to see how Aaron Glenn attacks Sam Darnold. How do they get after him? I mean, the Vikings have shown a lot of grit this year.
I thought their offensive line looked really strong last week against Green Bay.
Yeah, they've shown a lot of grit. Jordan Addison has come along. You got obviously Justin Jefferson, who is one of the top receivers in the NFL. They've shown a lot of grit, and to be in this position, to even be in the conversation for a number 1 overall seed speaks volumes to Kevin O'Connell and his staff and what they've done. So I'm excited about the game. I think it's going to be a really good game, but I do have the Lions winning it.
I think a lot of people are rolling with the Lions on this one. Like, it's tough. It's tough. Like, there's just something about Sam Darnold where a lot of people aren't ready to just fully embrace Sam Darnold because of his past.
Yeah.
Because you're wondering when is the shoe going to drop?
When will it happen?
And maybe it won't. Like, I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Maybe it won't.
That's the fun part.
I hope I'd rather it happen. Honestly, I'd rather him have a clunker of a game this week than round 1 of the playoffs.
I agree.
Like, at least you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather it happen now and get it out of your system before you go into the playoffs.
You just hope
That's
it
how
doesn't
I am.
happen. How about that?
Oh, I hope it doesn't happen at all. I hope they win. What do they need? 4 more wins. They need 4 more wins
there you go.
to win the Super Bowl.
Is that right? Yep, 4. Division, NFC. Yep. This week. Yeah, there you go. 4 wins.
4 wins, baby.
4 wins to be Super Bowl champs, and Marsh will wear his helmet the entire show.
I might wear it for an entire month, Carey. And in fact, I might not even be there that Monday if they win.
I'm sure you won't. You'll be partying, probably trying to figure out what day it is.
But they got to win tomorrow.
They got to win tomorrow. That's Andrew
Or not
Marsh.
tomorrow. I wish they were playing tomorrow. They got to win Sunday.
There you go. That's Andrew Marsh. I'm Carey Davis. Get your texts in. We have the Sports 6-Pack coming up next. Get your texts into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. Sports 6-Pack next.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six Pack is now.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Andrew Marsh, and it is time for the Sports Six Pack. Marsh, you can go.
Question number 1.
All right, this first question comes from the 618. Who do you think the best option for head coach is in Chicago? Do you see them giving an offensive coordinator a chance, or do they need an established head coach?
I've said this before, and I think Jamie and Anthony looked at me like I was crazy. Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions would be a good option. It's always, for me, we talked about this earlier, when you're playing division opponents, knowing those opponents makes life a lot easier for you. You're going to another team in the division. You already know the Detroit Lions defense and how they attack quarterbacks because you practice against them every single day in training camp and during the season. But you also know what those other teams, the Vikings and the Packers, do, what they do well, what they don't do well. If you're looking for a head coach that, can get a young quarterback and a really talented offense going in the right direction, Ben Johnson would be the place that I looked. But I don't know. I mean, who else is out there? Mike Vrabel. We already saw that Bill Belichick has been, he's taking the coaching job at North Carolina. What other coaches are available that would make sense? I don't know that they go in a defensive coordinator direction.
Oh, I could totally see him doing that.
But why would you do that?
Because it's the Bears.
Oh, that's dumb.
Well, of course it is, but it's the Bears.
Well, we talked about it earlier. Certain teams always have a top 10 draft pick. If you want to keep doing those things, keep doing dumb things, right?
So I forgot where I saw this, but I saw somebody saying something along the lines of, maybe Ryan Poles not wanting Ben Johnson to be in Chicago for the fear of his own job, because Ben Johnson could end up kind of running things the way that he wants to run things, and then Ryan Poles doesn't end up, having his job anymore because he gets fired. Or
if you're worried about you losing your job because of the head coach you hired, first of all, that's a bit problematic. Your goal should be, and you should be confident enough to hire the correct person to allow your team to be in the best shape and the best position that they can be in. I would hope that he wouldn't stunt the team's growth.
And I don't know if this is true, but it is an interesting thing to think about based on the organization.
They got to hire. In my opinion, they got to go with an offensive-minded head coach.
I hope they go with Cliff Kingsbury.
I wouldn't do that again.
No, I hope they do it.
I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't either, but I hope they do it.
That's probably not a great decision. I think the Cliff Kingsbury magic runs off after about a year and a half, 2 years. So, I wouldn't go in that direction. Ben Johnson would be my choice, like I said, because he's already in the division. He knows what they do well, and what that team needs to work on. So that would be my choice.
Question number 2.
From the 217, do you guys think domes cheapen the baseball/football experience? Games in weather like this weekend are great for football, and the elements are just part of the baseball experience. Also, I was there as well at the Winter Classic, and the weather added to the experience. What are your thoughts on that?
I can tell you, when it's freezing outside, it's cold for everybody. Would I rather have been in a dome? I tell you what, when I was with the Falcons, we played in the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia. It's probably 8 degrees. Probably felt less than that. I would have much rather have played that game in Atlanta in a dome. And I think most of our team and most of our fans would have preferred that as well. I don't know if it cheapens the experience. It's fun. It looks good. It does. There is a certain mindset. Like when we were in Pittsburgh, we had a rule that if you played offense, you didn't wear sleeves, no matter what the temperature was. No sleeves, none. And
is that still a rule?
Hell no. These guys, they're so damn soft now. But it was like Hines. Hines was like, nah, we don't wear sleeves. And it's not so much of a macho thing. It's a mindset thing. And it also impacts a team that is getting off the plane and coming into Heinz Field at the time, and they're looking at you like, dude, it's cold. Why don't they happen? Because we don't feel cold. And so it became a mindset thing more than, a physical tough guy thing, but it can work wonders. I remember a few years after I got done playing, Pittsburgh played Miami in the playoffs. I think it was the first round. And when I tell you, you could tell they still weren't wearing sleeves at the time. Miami was cold. And I don't know if it was because they looked over on that other sideline and like, what the hell are they doing? But they didn't want to be there. And it showed. It showed early. So
you think that actually like plays a factor? I think there's and you could answer this question. Is there a locker room in the Big Ten at a certain school that is pink?
Yes, Iowa.
It is Iowa?
Yeah. It's not a hot pink. It's like a
weird
faded pink that's been there for 40 years. And
did
they
that
never
mess with
repainted
you when you went in there?
It's weird because you don't. It's not. It doesn't. But then you find yourself thinking about it because you've heard about it. You're like, why did they paint this room pink? This is weird. And so but it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't soften you up. I think they said it kind of was supposed to calm you and make you less aggressive. And do that. But I did find myself looking around like, why is this locker room pink?
Yeah.
It's weird. So, but Iowa is more the problem. There's no room on the sideline. They're in Purdue. Like you could literally almost reach behind you and give high five to the fans in the crowd. So that is a bit more problematic than a pink locker room.
Going back to the whole dome situation, I don't mind domes for NFL games, or a bowl game, college football, whatever. I don't mind that. I do think though when it comes to baseball, I just like the dome stadiums for baseball. Like Houston's fine. Like some of them, they have retractable roofs, and it just depends on where you're at. Like I understand having, a domed stadium in Miami and in Florida, Tampa Bay, a lot of rain. I get that, but like nothing beats October baseball.
Yeah,
like knowing that it is cold outside, because when it is cold, I'm playing meaningful baseball or I'm watching meaningful baseball. And if you're in a dome stadium, it just, I don't know. I feel like that would take away from the experience.
Yeah. I think baseball, and you don't play baseball in all of the elements. Like once it starts raining or if it were to snow, they're going to stop the game. But when it's cold, and because I think the mindset is different because it's October baseball. Right. It does mean something. It does mean that this team is making a push or making a run to the World Series, and it's more exciting because you're like, oh, it's cold out there, and you know what that means. So I do like open stadiums for baseball. Football, I would much rather watch a Super Bowl in a dome than in Minnesota on a open turf field in February. I don't think anybody wants to watch that. So it gets really cold outside. That's Andrew Barger, Carey. We'll roll over this six-pack to the next segment, so get some more.
We got two questions.
Do we have two? We rolling it over?
No. We only got the
two. Proof that we don't need Jamie or Anthony to only get through two questions. We can do it ourselves.
New year, same six-pack.
Sports six-pack next.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Your St. Louis Blues take on the Ottawa Senators tonight, and you can listen to it right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. We have our Sports Six-Pack Part 2 coming up next. We need some questions. We know you have them, so text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. We'll do part 2 of our Sports Six-Pack next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is now.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. Andrew Marsh, Carey Davis. We clearly are unable to get through an entire six-pack, so we're going to finish it this time around. Marsh, you go.
Question number 3.
Carey, what are your thoughts from the 314 on the Dodgers signing Korean baseball star Ha-Sung Kim? It just seems like the Dodgers are the only team that exist to sign free agents and or players from the international market.
Well, I don't know if the texter was listening earlier, and Marshy went through his tier of baseball teams, and my Dodgers were the bullies, right? They were the only team in the bully section. They were the only one that were bullying all the other teams. You know what they're probably doing? Calling the other teams and said, I wish you would try to sign anyone that we want. Because they're the bullies. They're the bad kids on the block that are taking care of business. They don't care how you feel about it. You know, my Dodgers know how to win championships. And you know what else they know how to do? Sign players that are impact players and can help you win championships. That's what my Los Angeles Dodgers are doing this offseason, and they're going to win another one. It's going to be great. Marcy, are you excited?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
You sound like a hater.
Well, no, I am hating on the Dodgers. I do not like them.
Why?
Why?
You and Anthony. Anthony chose to root for the New York Yankees. We saw how that went. But
I do not like the Dodgers so much that I was rooting for the Yankees, and I don't like the Yankees.
You guys are crazy, man. You don't like winning? You don't like winning, huh?
No, I don't like teams that just win because they spend on the best players in the league, and they create an all-star team because they have money, because they're in a market that allows them to have that much money.
Can anyone else sign players? Is there a rule?
Yes, they can.
Is there a rule that other players, that other teams can't sign players to contracts? I didn't know that rule existed. You know?
Carey.
I didn't know that the rule was put in place that only the Los Angeles Dodgers could sign the best players. You know, every other team.
Last time I checked, St. Louis doesn't have a nice beach and the ocean and great weather. We got some snowstorm coming through. Do you think these players want to go and live there?
It's a wintry mix. You know, you get excited about the winter.
I mean, it's fine.
They don't have to be here right now. They could leave town if they wanted to.
That's fine.
You know, they could be somewhere on a beach if they wanted to in the wintertime.
That's great.
The Cardinals can spend money if they chose to.
I don't know if they have that much money.
You don't know, huh? You don't think they got enough money? Or you think they don't want to spend their money? Because it sounds I think
it's a mixture of both.
Sounds like to me they don't want to spend it.
It's a mixture of both.
And you can't blame the Dodgers for wanting to spend their money.
Carey, it is possible that, when we hear, billionaires with a B, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, some billionaires have more billions than other billionaires.
This is true. You're not wrong there. You're correct. But, hey, I didn't know. Some people spend their money how they see fit, and they win championships because of it, and some people don't.
That's fine. Whatever.
Question number 4.
All right, from the 314, has St. Louis used the NFL money yet? If they have not, they should use it on wooing an airline to move to St. Louis to have a hub city again. What do you think about that?
I would love that. Connecting flights is so annoying. Like when you're trying to go certain places and you're trying to get there fast, it's a little difficult, you know? Delta is in Atlanta. Was Southwest? I felt like Southwest was here. Maybe I'm wrong. To answer the first part of the question, I don't know what they've done with the money. I don't know if they spent it. I think they're still trying to decide where the money should be allocated. If you want my opinion on what you should do with millions of dollars that was given to the city of St. Louis, you should give it to teachers and to the education. To schools, education, teachers. I've worked in a school. I've worked in schools. They work their butts off and don't get paid nearly enough money. You all don't want to be around your kids all day, most days, and they are. And so you should give the money to some teachers somewhere in the city of St. Louis because they work their butts off, man, and it is a tough job. They don't have all of the resources that are required. They don't have all of the things that they need to teach your damn kids every single day. That's where the money should go. It should be, now here's the thing, because everybody that's in school, in education ain't about the right things. So you need to make sure you know where the money is going and how it's being spent. Let's make sure the money is being spent properly.
Yeah, do we ever know that though?
Nah, you gotta, if you're giving up this much money, you need to know. Right. I'm one of the people that feels like, if I'm going to give you money, I'm going to spend it on, you tell me what you want, but I'll buy it for you. Right. I'm not giving you a blank check. I'm not going to give you the money to use it how you see fit. You tell me what you want and you write it down. Make sure it's clear and concise, and I will spend that money immediately on the things you need that fit the criteria for the job you have. Now, that's how it should be done. Don't just give it to them. I'm telling you, don't get it. Everybody ain't going to do the right thing. But if you want to spend the money, give it to the educational system. Give it to the teachers and the people in education and let me rephrase it. Don't give it to them. Just spend it on them. That's what you do. My opinion.
I think if you have a little extra left over, maybe fix some of the roads around the city.
You can do that too.
Yeah. I
okay
prefer
with that.
not driving over potholes every 100 yards.
I prefer to have young people knowing how to read properly.
Well, that's fair. No, I'm saying if you have any extra money left over, let's fix some of these roads in a timely fashion too.
Let's do that. You can sign. I might have to run for city council or something.
Yeah, this is the second time you've played politician today.
I'm on to something. I got answers to problems, Marshy.
Yes.
And you might not always like my answers. I'm probably not going to give a damn either. But might not be the politician you want, but I'll be the politician you need.
There you go.
Yep, there it is.
Question number 5.
All right, from the 314, if Nolan Arenado does not get traded, what does that do to the clubhouse? Carey, have you been through a situation like that with a teammate?
I don't think it does anything. I think players are different than fans. They're different than upper management. They're different than coaches and managers. We're friends. So if you're telling me that one of my friends could possibly be leaving, I would probably be down about it, unless he wants to leave. And we understand that it's a business as well. But if Nolan Arenado is on the roster, is on the team, cool. Is he going to help us win games? That's all they care about. Nobody's going to be like, oh, this guy doesn't even want to be here. Nah, he's here. He wants to play. And I know he's here, and I know what he's capable of doing. Right? I know he's an elite defender at third base. I know he's a 10-time Gold Glove winner. He had a down year at the plate, but I would expect him to bounce back. I would want him on my team if I was a teammate because I know what he brings to the table. He brings passion. He brings fire. He's going to work his butt off. So I wouldn't have a problem with it. Fans and management may be upset, but as a teammate, I'm like, welcome back, dude. Let's go get it.
Question number 6.
From the 618, if you could have a WWE entrance into anything in life, what would it be?
Oh.
Like if you were going to the bathroom or something, or I don't know.
My favorite wrestler of all time, and I think I've told you this, is the Ultimate Warrior. Like the way he sprinted and then started shaking the rope, like it just did something to me. It would either be that. The Undertaker's a good one too. Like just.
Well, I'm thinking like from the question, it's more so like, you're not going into like a sporting event. You're like going, like let's say you walked into the studio and there was like an entrance theme music playing. Like like some people are like, oh, if my life had had like theme music, it would be this. Like if it was anything in life that you
so
went to.
it doesn't have to be necessarily be a wrestler. It could be just.
Or it could be. I guess it could be anything.
Any type of music that
but like it's like the entrance. Like I saw a video of this guy who was like a dart player. And came in and everyone's going nuts. He's about to throw darts. Like, like something goofy like that.
Oh, man. I don't know. If I walked into the room and it just... I have no clue. I don't know. It just everybody stand up and started clapping.
Yeah,
like a golf clap. Yeah, just
but
cheering.
You got music going on in the background. You're like, I'm here.
Oh, man. What music would it be?
What music would it be, and what would you be doing?
I would just be walking in slowly, like slow motion, like in the movies.
Yeah,
like
slow motion, like you're walking into work or something.
And everybody is just cheering me on as I walk down the hall, and music is playing.
We're in this hallway.
We're walking down. When we come in, every single
Carey,
the
Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. Something where I don't know what music we'll be playing. I want to say Dodger Blue because I like it, but Kendrick Lamar did a really good thing with his music, man. He did a good job. But it would probably be probably something Tupac, like ambitions as a right, doom 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 doo 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 doo, and I would just be walking down the hall. I won't deny it. They'd be like, "Oh, Carey." Yeah, that would be it. What about you?
Ooh, it's a great question. I feel like maybe like without sounding like super conceited, like walking into like a bar or something, like I don't know, that sounds kind of goofy.
Nah.
And like super conceited.
Why not? Why?
I guess that's the whole point.
That's your point.
That's the whole point.
I was going to say have people bow every time I walk by. Like,
I don't know about that. I don't need that going on.
Sure.
Oh, man,
what music would you have?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What music would you walk into? Your theme music for life. It's tough, right? It's one song out of hundreds of thousands of songs.
Oh, man, I have no idea.
Thousands of songs that you like, hundreds of songs that you enjoy.
There's
one
so many.
song. That it would have to be your song, Marshy. Now,
my
song.
Yeah, I'll just do that.
Yeah, your song would be the song.
It would be my song.
Yeah. You want to give us a little preview?
Not at all.
What? A little chorus?
No, I'm not showing you. I'm not singing it unless you sing yours.
Oh, Marshy. Gosh.
We can make our own song right now. On the air.
We will do that. Next time it's just you and I here. We might as well. We got 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. Just me and you.
We'll brainstorm some songs.
Put some songs together.
I'd love to see what your creative process is.
Indeed. Yeah. Probably can't do it here. That's Andrew Marsh. I'm Carey Davis. Coming up, Bet the Board 3 stars of the day. Criticisms and compliments. That's next on the Fast Lane. Welcome back to the Fast Lane. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Andrew Marsh. If you missed anything from today's show, you can check it out on the podcast via the Schaefer Door Company or go to the 101 ESPN app. Brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We got Bet the Board. Marshy, where are we at? Who got a win last night, huh?
So we all got a win except for Jamie. Florida lost. Toronto won. Golden State won by -3.5. They won. So they got
the hell out of those guys.
Yeah. Ole Miss also did some damage against Duke last night for Anthony in that first half and in the entire game. Yeah. So we all have 1 point except for Jamie.
Cool. Well, not cool for him, but cool for us.
So Anthony sent us his pick. Jamie already told us his pick. Jamie's going with Montreal money line, and Anthony is taking Minnesota -6.5 first half. I'm assuming the Vikings.
Oh, Vikings. I forgot we can go over the weekend.
Yeah.
Get confused.
We could make it the Timberwolves. If it misses. If it misses, yeah, he didn't say. So if it's the Timberwolves and they don't win or they're not up at that, we'll just say it was that one. Or if it's Minnesota and they're trailing after the first, we'll just say it was that one.
There you go.
I'm going to go with the Tony Pollard anytime touchdown.
Ooh, he needs a touchdown to hit his incentives.
That's if
like $250K, isn't it? I think it's something like
there's
that.
There's a lot of players, and I think this is one of those weeks where, if you like dabbling in the sports betting, look at the incentives that players need and maybe make some picks off of that. But here's the thing. They know that, though. Yeah. So they're going to be – they know that.
They do. I'm going to take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander rebounds and assists tonight versus the New York Knicks. It is over. I'm going over 10.5. Just rebounds and assists.
All right.
SGA. All right, we got our criticism and compliments.
The 314 says he probably means the Golden Gophers in their bowl game tonight.
Do they play tonight?
That just gives us another option.
Hey, we can pick and choose.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Well, the Golden Gophers are -9.5, so we got to check and see which one it is because...
Yeah, we'll ask him. We'll ask him Monday.
We'll figure it out. Whatever one doesn't make it is the one he got.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. From the 314, Tempest by Tool, got to have time for the build-up. So these are some of the songs that our listeners would have as their entrance to whatever.
I thought about it over the break, and I would probably go with Lose Yourself, Eminem.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Arms are heavy, knees weak, arms are heavy, bombing on your sweater already, mom spaghetti. Nervous, but on the surface, he looks calm and ready.
To drop bombs, but he keeps
on forgetting what he wrote down. Yeah, you just had the build up. Yeah. You only get one shot. I miss your chance to blow. Yeah, that's it.
I think it'd be cool to come into the Space Jam theme music. That'd be cool.
Okay.
That'd be fun.
Which song is that?
It's like
not the I Believe I Can Fly.
Everybody get up.
That one.
It's time to slam now. We got a real thing going now. Welcome to the Space Jam.
Okay, I can see that one. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
All right.
That'd be fun. We got a text from the 314. Have a great night and a great snow day.
Yeah, be safe out there.
We don't get snow days.
We don't. Be safe, clearly. Learned that about an hour or so ago. Be safe out there on the roads as you're traveling, the highways and byways. Be careful. Drive cautiously, especially if it's going to be snow and ice. Drive smart. Be safe. Don't be speeding through.
All right, let's get to our 3 stars of the day. The text line came up with the 3rd star of the day, milk, bread, and eggs.
Oh, yeah.
All of the things that everyone will be purchasing for said snow day.
The necessities. Get those things.
Absolutely. Also, the things that the Cardinals buy every summer, according to Anthony Stalter.
They hadn't bought any of that this year, so they're good.
That's true.
Yeah.
2nd star of the day goes to Anthony Stalter, Goodfellas Gardening.
Yeah. You got the chest hair and the chains popping. The face tat that says 28-3.
Different variations of our great friend Anthony Stalter.
Indeed.
1st star of the day goes to Mumsy Rivers for reminding Jamie that he indeed was born in the country of Canada.
Love it. That's where he's from. Good job, Mumsy. We appreciate it. letting him know. He tried to claim he was American. He's Canadian. But we love him nonetheless. For Andrew Marsh, Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter, I'm Carey Davis. Coming up next, the Blues puck drop at 7 versus the Ottawa Senators. Pre-game will begin at 6 p.m. We will be back on Monday. Hopefully all 4 of us have a safe weekend, safe snow day. See ya.